claiming that he was the shooter and repeatedly asked detectives to shoot him. He accepted a plea deal on 1 count of obstruction of justice and 2 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor after detectives found child sex abuse materials on his phone. After flames ripped through a block of Main Street businesses last year, downtown Salt Lake City is finally seeing signs of recovery starting tonight. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera shares the comeback story.
Flames tore through a century-old stretch of Main Street, destroying 5 local businesses and leaving employees, regulars, and an entire block wondering what came next. The morning after the fire, Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall called it a heartbreak for the city.
The fire that happened last night is a tragic loss for Salt Lake City. These are iconic businesses in our downtown core.
Tonight, White Horse is officially reopening its doors, becoming the first of those Main Street staples to come back. For downtown resident Ryan Chisholm, it's personal.
We used to go to White Horse all the time, and I get their mac and cheese and their oysters. I have a lot of friends who work at those spots, who worked at London Bell, who worked at Whiskey Street, who worked at White Horse. A lot of those people were out of jobs.
He says reservations filled up fast, but he's in at 9.
Do they still have the mac and cheese and the oysters?
Hey, listen, we're going to find out tonight.
White Horse's return also signals hope for neighboring favorites like Whiskey Street and London Bell, which were also lost in the fire and are still rebuilding. For a block that once felt broken and uncertain, tonight feels like a reset. From downtown Salt Lake City, Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
City of Moab says their police officers are not responsible for the death of Gabby Petito in 2021. The statement comes after the Utah Supreme Court agreed to hear arguments in the wrongful death suit filed by Petito's family against the Moab Police Department. Petito was killed by her fiancé, Brian Landry, just days after the couple was stopped by officers in Moab. Her family believes police should have done more to protect her from domestic violence. But police say they separated the couple for the night and shouldn't be held liable for a murder that happened 400 miles away. KSL's top national stories. White House border czar Tom Homan says he believes the number of federal immigrant agents in Minnesota will dwindle, but he says it's going to take more cooperation from state and local officials.
President Trump's border czar Tom Homan Thursday said he's had productive meetings with state and local leaders in Minnesota and indicated a potential change in the number of federal agents there.
The drawdown is going to happen based on these agreements.
Homan acknowledged the administration has, quote, gotten away from its original mission focused on public safety threats.
And we're going to make sure we do target enforcement operations. And look, and I will say it again, we are not surrendering our mission at all.
Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Homan also referred to protesters as agitators and said those who do not have criminal records, who are undocumented, are still fair game to be arrested. Other national stories KSL is following this hour. A procedural vote to advance legislation that would avert a shutdown and fully fund the government through September failed on the Senate floor this morning. The package of 6 bills failed to advance because of Democrats' objection of the inclusion of a bill that funds DHS. ABC's Jay O'Brien has more from Capitol Hill.
This procedural vote goes down because Democrats don't support it, while there is that ongoing negotiation between Democrats and the White House as to what ICE reforms the White House might agree to, and maybe stripping this DHS funding out of this package of those other bills and passing those other bills and haggling on the DHS funding separately. There was one more major data point on the Senate floor that just happened, which is that 7 Republicans voted against this package. Not just Democrats, 7 Republicans voted against it.
The money runs out on Friday, so if they don't get this package passed, we could see a partial shutdown. Here in Utah, as we keep our eye on the Hill, lawmakers are one step closer to lowering income taxes for the 6th straight year. A Senate committee approved the bill looking to lower Utah's income tax rate from 4.5 to 4.45%. That cut is expected to save the average family $45 a year. Some members of the public, like Jerry Schmidt, voiced concern with how this cut is expected to cost the state more than $200 million in revenue over the next 2 fiscal years.
And what could we do with that, with social services or other services? Is this really needed?
The bill still needs approval from the full Senate, another committee, and the full House to reach the governor. We have more of our coverage posted at ksl.com. First look traffic. Good afternoon, Michelle.
Good afternoon, Maria. We have a couple of trouble spots. The first is northbound I-15 in Lehigh. Not sure what the cause of that is, but I'm seeing some sizable slowdowns there. And then also visibility issues in Farmington, Kaysville, and Syracuse. Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:05.
What most people don't realize is this. If you got government Obamacare health insurance again, especially here in Utah, you're not just overpaying a premium, you're carrying most of the risk yourself. At My Policy Quote, yes, I can help reduce premiums. In fact, many families are seeing around 47% savings, even more on gold level plans. But the real issue shows up when life happens. A doctor visit, a lab work, an ER trip. The moment you hand over that blue card or any big box insurance, that's when prices jump. And with families suffering with deductibles now reaching $20,000, you're paying all of the out-of-pocket long before the insurance starts to help. My name's Mike at My Policy Quote, and I work with private insurance based on your health, not your income, so you're not forced into a one-size-fits-all coverage. That means lower overall costs, access to national PPO networks, and plans designed around how families actually use care. If you pay your own health insurance, self-employed or small businesses, call me, Mike, today. 385-367-6779. Again, that's 385-367-6779. Or visit mypolicyquote.com. That's mypolicyquote.com to get started now.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Captid Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Thank you for joining us for Midday. Recapping our top story, George Zinn, the man who falsely admitted to police that he killed Charlie Kirk, has now pleaded guilty to obstruction of justice and 2 unrelated charges as part of a plea deal. KSL News Time, 12:07. A bill has just been introduced that would give state employees more maternity leave.
Utah state employees get 6 weeks of maternity leave after giving birth, but Representative Ariel DeFay says that number should be 12 weeks.
12 weeks is on par with many states, and I think that is where the trend is going. And really the goal is, as a state, we can lead and show industry how important it is that we are supporting strong families, we're supporting mothers, and we're supporting the workforce.
Her bill would also provide some leave for foster and adoptive parents. There's also a fund to reimburse schools which opt to provide leave for teachers. Concerns about the bill that have been voiced so far include the costs. But DeFay argues providing leave helps boost employee retention. Randall Jepson, KSL News Radio.
Utah legislators have begun the task of making budget cuts as a result of decreased federal funding, and on the chopping block could be disability services. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis has more.
Disability advocates say among the possible cuts being considered this year are a 10% decrease in disability services. Utah Association of Community Services' Nancy Straham says along with hurting disabled people directly, this could mean a pay cut of up to $3 for many working in the disability service sector.
At this point, we would have the people who care for our most vulnerable populations having to compete with entry-level fast food job wages.
This could cut provider wages to around $12 an hour, which could lead to an exodus from the caregiving field. However, as Representative Raymond Ward points out, they already have worked hard to provide more funding for disability services, and if possible, he along with others will try to make cuts anywhere else before looking into any essential services for the state's most vulnerable. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
A bill before the Utah legislature is designed to clarify a discrepancy in the sales tax on streaming services.
This has been an area of confusion, substantial confusion for a long time, and kind of a somewhat nonsensical distinction into considering today's modern technology. I think this is going to this cleans up the code, makes it clear.
Jason Gardner with the Utah State Tax Commission says the confusion about sales tax on streaming services has been because it was based on whether or not those services allow downloads. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU, love where you bank. What's happening, Michelle?
Still looking at some a little bit of below average visibility up in the Kaysville, Syracuse area due to fog being in that area. This is on West Davis Highway, so just want to use a little caution going through that area. Also could have a little bit of slippery roads. And then unusual slowdowns, not seeing a cause for this, but if you're making your way northbound I-15 in the Nephi area, you're going to see a sizable delay in that area, so you'll want to allow some extra travel time. And then we're looking at a KSL travel time of about 13 minutes eastbound Parley's Canyon from the mouth of the canyon up to Kimball Junction. The Good Feet store supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Hey, looking at some reduced visibility north of Salt Lake City with some morning fog. By afternoon, I've got a temperature of 42, partly cloudy. 28 in the overnight. We'll go partly cloudy again tomorrow, 46. High pressure building Saturday puts us at 52, mostly sunny skies. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
A lot of sunshine and 36 degrees downtown. And coming up on Midday with Maria Shilaos, a new report finds that Utah outperforms the nation by about 75% when it comes to nonprofits. We'll talk to one of the people behind that report coming up, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
When Team USA is on, you can almost see the moment a kid starts believing they could be next. Now, while Xfinity can't guarantee that, they can guarantee something just as important, that your internet price won't change for 5 years. No contracts or commitments, so while your kid is ordering gear online, streaming highlight reels, or video chatting, your Xfinity internet price won't budge. And who knows, by the time the next Olympic Winter Games roll around, your kid could be getting fitted for their very own Team USA uniform. And guess what? You'll still be paying the same price for reliable Wi-Fi. And there's even more to enjoy with the Xfinity Gold Medal Celebration. Now through February 22nd, get their best price on gig Wi-Fi for 5 years guaranteed. Just $50 a month, plus get Peacock Premium included for 2 years. That's a $10.99 monthly value. Xfinity. Imagine that. Proud partner of Team USA. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Actual speeds vary.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Save more on the brands pros trust at Lowe's. Right now, get up to 35% off select major appliances and choose from our wide lineup of top brands. Plus, save $100 on a Little Giant 22-foot multi-position ladder, now just $189. Built for strength, flexibility, and job site versatility. Pros, these savings will only be here for a limited time. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 1/30 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for more details.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Brian's headed to the basketball court, but he's sick of this check engine light. So he goes to AutoZone for the free Fix Finder service,
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
where a friendly AutoZoner reads the light in just a few minutes and gives him a detailed report.
No big, just a loose gas cap.
And gets him to the court with a tight gas cap and tighter defense. The free Fix Finder service at AutoZone. No hassles, just help.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
KSL News Time, 12:15. The 3 things you need to know this hour. First,
Downtown Salt Lake City takes a major step toward recovery today as the first of several Main Street businesses reopens after last year's fire. I'm KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera.
second, the city of Moab is speaking out against a lawsuit from Gabby Petito's family saying they shouldn't be held responsible for her fiancé murdering her in Wyoming. Third, traffic and weather together, Michelle.
We have a serious crash in Sandy. KSL traffic trooper giving us a heads up. This is Highland Drive and Creek Road, and it's also by Alta Canyon, so you'll want to avoid that area. Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
After some morning fog north of Salt Lake, we'll go partly cloudy today with a high of 42. I'm Matt Johnson.
Nice sunshine right now in downtown Salt Lake City, 36 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, and time for KSL's top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Lawmakers failed to advance a package of spending bills today, which means a partial government shutdown could still happen at midnight. Democrats are pushing for changes on immigration operations or withhold funding. It includes federal agents wearing masks with body cameras on during immigration operations. Today, Border Czar Tom Homan, now in charge of ICE operations in Minnesota, held a briefing and says he's had productive talks with state and local leaders. He also signaled that those enhanced immigration operations could soon be scaled back.
The drawdown is going to happen based on these agreements.
Homan acknowledged the administration has, quote, gotten away from its original mission focused on public safety threats.
And we're going to make sure we do target enforcement operations. And look, and I will say it again, we are not surrendering our mission at all.
Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
It comes as new video has also emerged showing a man who appears to be Alex Preddy 11 days before he was shot and killed, shouting at federal agents blocking a road. ABC's Matt Rivers has more.
In this video, you see Preddy scuffling with federal agents. You see as a federal vehicle is driving away, you actually see someone who looks like Preddy walks up to the back of the car, kicks the tail light, and actually the tail light falls off of the car.
In Fulton County, Georgia, election officials pushing back after the FBI's raid at an election hub yesterday.
Fulton County officials say federal agents took 700 boxes of ballots and other records from an election that took place more than 5 years ago, and that recounts and audits confirmed Joe Biden won. County Chairman Rob Pitts.
We're going to fight this in court with every resource that we have.
Pitts says he's concerned about what will happen with the records now.
Are they opening the boxes? Are they stuffing other ballots in there? I have no clue.
The FBI affidavit laying out probable cause remains under seal. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
You're listening to ABC News.
Time now for the KSL In-Depth. We all know Utah is a charitable state, but now we have some data to back it up. A new report from the Utah Foundation says that Utah outperforms the nation by 75% when it comes to nonprofits. Joining me now live, Sean Teigen, president of the Utah Foundation. Sean, thanks so much for being with me.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
So give us some of the highlights of your report.
Yeah, so I think that really one of the highlights is that there are more and more nonprofits in the state every year, and that most of those nonprofits are charities. And I think that, and by far, I mean, there are over 10,000 charitable organizations in the state that are operating at any given time. And what we see is that most of those charities are small, but a few of them are very large. And I think that when we look at us outperforming the nation, we actually have fewer charities per person in the state. But in terms of how these things operate, what their assets are, and what their incomes are, we are, like you said, about 75% larger than the nation. And that kind of depends on counties. Like if you look at Little Kane County in the southern part of the state, that county is looking really strong in terms of its charities, but that really relies on one big charity, the Best Friends Animal Sanctuary. And then when you look at the state at large, one of the reasons why we look, so big in terms of our charities, it has to do with a few of the really big ones, and those are some big foundations. It has to do with Western Governors University, which actually operates around the United States, but is sourced here, but also Intermountain Healthcare, which is just a gigantic nonprofit organization in the state.
So when we talk about outperforming the nation, we're not talking just about number of charities, but we are talking about size of some of those charities as well.
Yeah, and I guess maybe what it is that we have fewer charities overall in terms of kind of per capita, but those charities tend to be on average larger, and that's like I said, due to some of those large foundations that really support a lot of the activities in the state that maybe the free market and governments aren't covering. They're out there giving their money and their time and resources in certain ways to benefit the state and this individuals here.
So what is it that makes Utah the place that these nonprofits want to be?
One of the nonprofits, and this is something to be aware of when we talk about these large nonprofits in the state, religious organizations are exempt from reporting to the IRS. Their income and expenses and whatnot. So that doesn't include, the elephant in the room, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which is a very large nonprofit, but they're not included in the report. But I think that with an organization maybe like Intermountain Healthcare, they saw a need that needed to be filled in the state in terms of providing healthcare to Utahns in many different areas. And that has really taken on and is an important part of supporting the health and wellness of Utahns across the state. But there are also just a lot of little nonprofits that are doing a lot of great work. You get some people coming together with a mission in mind, and they're building within themselves some social capital, but are also really helping those around them in terms of education and arts and recreation and all kinds of other nonprofits.
Sean, I appreciate your time. Thanks for being with me.
Hey, thank you so much.
Live on the KSL Newsline, that is Sean Tigan, president of the Utah Foundation. Let's get you up to date on the drive. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Supercharge your savings at uccu.com. And here's Michelle Rowe.
Well, again, we have a trouble spot in Sandy due to a serious crash. This is at Highland Drive and Creek Road that I'm looking at a live shot right now. Looks like they have some of those lanes blocked and they're redirecting traffic. I can't tell for sure, but it looks like it's the northbound lanes on Highland Drive making your way toward Creek Road. So again, I would just avoid this area at the moment. But as far as freeways, we're running at posted speeds right now and seeing good conditions. Whether you park it, stripe it, or pave it, GoPave Utah has your blacktop covered at gopavutah.com. That's gopavutah.com. Call or visit gopavutah.com. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast. I got partly cloudy conditions by this afternoon with a high of 42. High pressure builds back on Friday. We'll bump it to 46, partly cloudy. Dry skies into Saturday, mostly sunny and 52. How about a 54 dialed up for your Sunday, partly cloudy skies? Still in the 50s on Monday, mostly cloudy, and then it's partly cloudy 48 on Tuesday. Wednesday, still upper 40s. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
A few fluffy clouds here in downtown Salt Lake City and cold 36 degrees. The 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. Quick check of the markets at this hour, seeing a lot of red. In fact, the NASDAQ, it's down by more than a full percent, down 1.25%, down 300 points. Complete update of your money news is coming up next.
When you're making resolutions for the new year, have you ever thought of making a resolution to get a new metabolism?
So that your body is burning fat more naturally? I used to have a terrible metabolism because I didn't know what to eat or when to eat it until I did Soda weight loss. I let go of 37 pounds, and now my metabolism works for me.
I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, and it was so nice because once that metabolism changes, the things that affected you more regularly don't affect you anymore. And those are the things that I learned from my nutritionist as I was going along and even afterward. It's so helpful. They taught me how to be successful for life.
You can call and speak to a nutritionist at Soda Weight Loss today at 866-800-SODA, S-O-T-A. That's 866-800-SODA.
Or you can go to sodaweightloss.com and see the hundreds of before and after pictures. And right now is the best time to do it because if you join now, your partner joins for free, so you get 2 transformations for the price of 1.
It's 866-800-SODA.
Because soda is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art.
KSL News Time 1224. Drug overdose deaths have now hit a 6-year low. ABC's Sherry Preston with more.
According to the CDC, the number of Americans dying from drug overdoses dropped 26% between 2023 and 2024, the largest ever decrease. Researchers say deaths linked to opioids and stimulants like cocaine and meth were down overall, but deaths from synthetic opioids like fentanyl and tramadol showed an even sharper decline. The report does not explain the reason for the drop, but it could be the fact that the anti-overdose drug naloxone is now much more widely accessible. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Watching Utah's money, the new U.S.-run and Trump-backed version of TikTok is under fire, accused of potentially suppressing content critical of President Trump. This week, California Governor Gavin Newsom announced that he will be launching a review of the app over censorship concerns. The Trump administration has officially launched its investment accounts for babies as part of a new bid for affordability. The accounts will begin with $1,000 deposited by the U.S. Treasury, but families are also encouraged to invest in their children's portfolio. Yale has announced that you can attend their school for free if you get in and if your family makes less than $200,000 a year. School also says they will cover all other billed expenses, including housing and food, if your family's net income is less than $100,000. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow down by 33 points, sitting at 48,982. S&P down by 35. That's 0.5% for the S&P. The NASDAQ, though, it's down 1.25%, down by 296 points. Some popular food products sold in 3 states are being recalled due to possible exposure to rodent waste. ABC's Alex Stone has more.
It's a long list of food products being recalled in 3 states where they were sold: in Indiana, Minnesota, and North Dakota. A distribution company may have kept them in unsanitary conditions where they could have come in contact with rodent and bird droppings and urine. That company initiated a recall in December. Now the FDA is classifying it as one that could cause adverse health consequences. The impacted products include things like Nutella, Cheerios, Gatorade, Coca-Cola, Skittles, Sour Patch Kids, and Jolly Ranchers, sold in those 3 states. Alex Stone, ABC News.
For years I've said this: when it comes to the person you love, there are 3 dates you never, ever want to forget or overlook. 1, birthday. 2, anniversary. 3, it's Valentine's Day. And the perfect place to celebrate Valentine's Day with the one you love, it's Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. First of all, of course, the best food you have ever had. But the ambiance, the wait service is absolutely incredible. And we have 2 locations. 1, Hotel Park City, up in the mountains. After a day of skiing, that would be perfect. And of course also in downtown Salt Lake City at 275 South West Temple. The steaks are divine. You're going to love the seafood dishes, poultry, whatever it is, cooked to perfection at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Be sure to make your reservations now for Valentine's Day.
Jeff Kaplan. I'm energized by breaking news. First of all, because it's right now, and second of all, because in many cases the audience needs to know. There's no more important service that we can provide, and I find it critically important to get more details to the audience as quickly as possible. There's nothing more energizing than that for me. Not at all. The most important thing we do is breaking news. I am gratified that so many people listen to me every afternoon on KSL, but what they don't know is that there are so many people behind the scenes making it happen, checking on the traffic, answering the phones, making the calls, talking to the newsmakers. They're out in the street, into the field to get the raw information, and then putting it all together so that I can sit in front of a microphone and be a source of information every afternoon. But there are so many people who make it happen. That's what you don't know.
Ride Home with Jeff Kaplan, weekdays 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU. Love where you bank. Michelle?
Looking pretty good out there still, Maria. We do have a fresh crash that's just been reported. Can't get eyes on it. Southbound I-215's west belt, just north of I-80. But again, I'm not seeing any slowdowns in that area. Also, for that crash over in on Highland Drive and Creek Road in Sandy, they're still working on that. Visit the Boat Show and Water Sports Expo Thursday through Sunday, January 29th through February 1st at Mountain America Expo. Buy tickets online at utahboatshow.com. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Heads up, morning commuters north of Salt Lake. I got some morning fog. By afternoon, 42 and partly cloudy skies. Overnight, 28 degrees. We'll go partly cloudy again tomorrow, 46. By Saturday, mostly sunny, highs in the low 50s. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Hazy sunshine in downtown Salt Lake City, 35 degrees.
You're listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos
on KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good afternoon. KSL News Time, 1230. KSL's top story this hour. A Utah man has entered into a plea that carries a sentence of up to 15 years in prison after detectives say he interfered with the investigation of the Charlie Kirk assassination. KSL News Radio's Cameron Elliott is live with details. Cameron?
Maria's 71-year-old George Zinn reportedly approached detectives shortly after Kirk was murdered, claiming to be the shooter and repeatedly asking police to shoot and kill him. Court documents say he was taken into custody and questioned, and authorities found that he was not the man who shot Kirk. However, they did find multiple pieces of child sex abuse materials on his phone. He entered into a plea deal with the court, pleading guilty to 1 count of obstruction and 2 counts of possession of child sex abuse materials. Zinn has reportedly been known to the police in the past as a political agitator who would often appear at large gatherings to garner attention. Cameron Elliott, KSL News Radio.
We will talk more about this with KSL's legal analyst Greg Skordas coming up at 12:45. An American Fork man was found guilty of murdering his brother-in-law, but not conspiring to do it. KSL News Radio's Claire Scott has more.
Jurors did not agree that Kevin Ellis was defending himself when he shot and killed Matthew Rastelli in July of 2024. Prosecutors say Ellis, his sister Catherine Rastelli, and their mother Tracy Grist persuaded Rastelli to come to their home in American Fork, claiming Catherine wanted to get back together with him. When Rastelli arrived, Ellis shot him, then placed a knife in his hand to claim self-defense. Ellis's attorneys argued he was tricked by his family into shooting Rastelli and didn't fully understand the situation. Jurors agreed with this argument, acquitting him of a conspiracy charge. Catherine has already pleaded guilty to her husband's murder, and Grist's trial is set for April. Ellis's sentencing is scheduled for March 23rd. Claire Scott, KSL News Radio.
A 22-year-old man was killed in a car accident near Brigham City this morning. Utah Highway Patrol says a call came in just before 2, reporting a car driving fast on I-15 with its lights off. Officials believe the driver later crashed into the back of a semi and died at the scene. They say the driver of the semi initially drove off but called police several hours later. Utah lawmakers are looking at potentially expanding the state's prison capacity just over 3 years after opening the brand new prison in Salt Lake City.
We have a prison capacity problem in Utah.
State Representative Carrie Ann Lisenby told a group of her fellow lawmakers today the state's prisons in Salt Lake and Gunnison collectively are now sitting at just over 91% capacity. And she says at this rate, the prisons are expected to reach full capacity sometime in the next few years. That's why she's asking for $130 million of taxpayer money to add just under 800 more beds to the prison in Gunnison. Lisenby said another reason both prisons are so full right now is because the old prison in Draper had about 1,000 more beds than the new one in Salt Lake does.
Population growth was greater than was expected in the models when we decided on the prison size.
Lisenby also told lawmakers if they want to expand, they need to get moving on it quickly because construction will take a couple of years. Lawmakers will make a final decision when they finalize this year's budget. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Lawmakers are considering 8 different pieces of legislation that will affect Utah's court system. KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff has been looking into some of those bills.
One of the bills passed out of the House committee would create what's being called a constitutional court.
We're still unsure exactly what the constitutional court means, other than we have some concerns there that currently we have methods of challenging the constitutionality of laws that can be heard in our courts.
Tyler Young is the president-elect for the Utah Bar Association, which is opposed to all but one of the bills. Gail Razika represents the Eagle Forum and supports the Constitutional Court bill.
If this is a system, and it sounds like it could be, that could help speed that up, how could it not help speed it up? So we can have answers. And so that laws that should be enforced can be enforced.
The committee voted 7-1 to send this bill to the full House. Reporting from the Utah State Capitol, Don Brinkerhoff, KSL News Radio.
KSL's top national stories. The Minnesota man who allegedly attacked Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar at a town hall earlier this week has been charged in federal court. The FBI says the 55-year-old suspect squirted the congresswoman with a solution of apple cider vinegar mixed with water. An affidavit says agents interviewed an associate of the suspect who said years ago the man said that someone should kill Omar. He's now charged with assaulting a member of Congress. Officials in Fulton County, Georgia, are promising to take their fight to court after the FBI seized 2020 election records yesterday from the county's election hub. Here's Fulton County Chairman Rob Pitts.
We can no longer be held responsible for those ballots and other data that was seized yesterday. But what I'm hoping that we will stand together to ensure that no data is ever weaponized.
The search warrant authorized the FBI to search for all physical ballots from the 2020 general election, in addition to tabulator tapes from voting machines and 2020 voter rolls, among other documents. Other national stories KSL is following this hour. President Trump says a fleet of U.S. military vessels are on their way towards Iran, pressuring them to make a new nuclear deal. This comes as thousands of anti-government protesters have died. More from ABC's Ian Pannell.
Trump hasn't mentioned the protesters. Remember, the ones that he was encouraging to take to the streets, take over their institutions, and that American help was on the way. Now the pressure is there unless Iran negotiates, presumably some kind of nuclear deal. That's even though the death toll, according to human rights activists, is now almost 6,000 protesters killed, with 17,000 more cases under review. And many people are putting the death toll even higher, in the tens of thousands.
Internet is spotty in Iran, so information has been difficult to verify. First look traffic, here's Michelle Rowe.
Already seeing clear-ups if you're headed southbound on I-215's West Bell approaching North Temple. They did have a right lane blocked due to a crash. That is now cleared. Traffic is getting through. Michelle Rowan, the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:35.
A family office is a team built to handle the three biggest financial responsibilities a family faces: wealth management, tax strategy, and estate planning. Most firms only manage your investments and refer the rest out, hoping everyone stays aligned. At Trajan, we built something different. Your wealth, tax planning, and estate planning are handled together inside one firm under one roof. There's no guessing whether your CPA, advisor, and estate attorney are truly in sync, because our team works together every day on your behalf. When your financial life becomes more complex, your advice should become more coordinated, not more fragmented. One plan, one trusted team. Call Trajan today, 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
Are you on the hunt for your next big hunt? Then head to HuntExpo.com, because that's where it starts. The Hunting Expo is coming to Salt Lake City February 12th to 15th. It's the biggest hunting show in the West. There's hundreds of guides and outfitters, plus your shot at Utah's top 200 hunting permits in a drawing. Parma Lee, Coffey Anderson, and Caleb Austin are all performing live. Book your next hunt, see the latest gear, and apply for Utah's biggest bucks and bulls at the Hunting Expo and HuntExpo.com.
Thank you for joining us for Midday, recapping our top story. Utah lawmakers are mulling over whether to invest tens of millions of dollars into expanding one of the state's prisons 3 years after opening a brand new prison in Salt Lake City. KSL News Time, 12:37. Two bills to reduce penalties for speeding in school zones are making their way through the House. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
One of the bills would remove a requirement mandating a person who has sped through a school zone spend 45 minutes watching a crossing guard. Bill sponsor Representative Carol Moss says while well-intentioned, this has led to guards being harassed on the job.
The crossing guard, usually a young mother or a retired person, is trying to watch the kids, and some person approaches them and says, I need to get to work. Sign my form. Right now, I've got to go.
A second bill would reduce the penalty for low-level speeding through school zones from a misdemeanor to an infraction. The bill sponsor says this would keep focus on those going faster through the zones. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Utah lawmakers says more needs to be done to teach kids about e-bike safety.
Kids want to be independent. They want to get out there on their own. This is a way we can do it.
Representative Paul Cutler introduced a bill that creates a safety course for kids that can be taken online or at school. Of course, we'll talk about the rules of the roadway and how to safely ride. It would also require helmets to be worn. Some fifth graders in Salt Lake City aren't just learning civics out of a textbook. They are stepping into a courtroom. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera shows us how a mock trial is helping kids understand fairness, empathy, and justice.
At David Gorley Elementary, fifth graders aren't just raising their hands, they're raising objections. For weeks, students here have taken part in a mock trial program run by the Salt Lake County District Attorney's Office, learning how the justice system works by role-playing it themselves. District Attorney Sim Gill says what stands out most is how much kids already understand about fairness.
I think that what's really interesting about this is they're actually far more smarter than we think.
They're picking up on what it feels to be treated wrong. They're picking up on wanting to help somebody because that's a natural instinct.
He says that connection is the goal, helping kids see the justice system as something that serves them and reminding adults just how much kids are already paying attention. From Kearns, Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Supercharger savings at uccu.com. What's going on, Michelle?
Looking pretty good out there, Maria. Just minor slowing southbound on I-215's westbound as you're approaching North Temple. That is mostly just due to ongoing construction in the area at this time. Now, if you're looking over into Sandy, they're still working on this crash, Highland Drive, Creek Road. So again, you might want to use an alternate to get through that area because they do have some of those lanes continuing to be blocked off. When you need financial products and services for every stage of life, Cyprus Credit Union is there for whatever the future holds. Visit cypruscu.com today. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Hey, thanks to yesterday's persistent snow showers north of Salt Lake City, we've got fog, mainly Davis, Weber, Box Elder, and Cache counties. By afternoon, calling for a high of 42 and partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow, 46, partly cloudy. And by Saturday, we are warming nicely to the low 50s. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Sunny, a bit misty in downtown Salt Lake City, and 34 degrees. And still to come on Midday, the man who initially told police he was the one that killed Charlie Kirk has accepted a plea deal. We'll break it down with KSL's legal analyst, Greg Skordas. That's coming up, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Amanda, I took my daughter with me to see Frozen at Hale Center Theater, and it was a magical experience. And I say that somewhat jokingly, but it was magical. I watched a woman transform a dress in a second right in front of my own eyes. I got snowed on indoors. Plus, there was all the songs that we both loved.
Yeah, when that ice castle comes out of the floor, I have goosebumps now just thinking about that moment. And the performers, the young girls who sing Elsa and Anna when they're little. I mean, the grown-up ones too, but all of them were just extraordinary.
The Anna that I saw just had this magical pixie-like charm that was so fun to watch. That just everything she said made me laugh.
Have you seen Frozen yet at Hale Center Theater? It runs till when, Andy?
It goes till Valentine's Day.
So you have time.
Yeah, if you didn't catch it during the holiday season, that's okay. It's an extended run. You have a chance to go now.
And if you went before, maybe you want to take your girlfriend or your nieces. Go back and have this magical experience of Frozen.
You can get tickets online, find out which day works best for you at hct.org.
Valentine's Day is a moment to pause and celebrate the love that fills your life. Duke's Jewelers in Springville believes every love story deserves something timeless, something chosen with intention and given from the heart. This Valentine's season, explore pieces that speak without a single word. Dazzling diamonds that catch the light, rich gold that feels classic and enduring, and colorful gemstones that tell a story all their own. Whether you're marking a first Valentine's together, honoring decades of devotion, or simply wanting to make someone feel cherished, Duke's Jewelers is here to help you find the perfect piece. Duke's Jewelers will guide you with care, offer thoughtful suggestions, and even wrap your gift beautifully so you can enjoy the moment, not stress over it. Visit Duke's Jewelers on Springville Main Street and discover a gift that will be treasured long after February 14th is passed. Because love is worth celebrating in the most meaningful way. Duke's Jewelers. Love elevated.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Capted Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
KSL News Time, 1245. The 3 things you need to know this hour. First,
a bill to provide 12 weeks of maternity leave for state employees was introduced today at the state capitol. I'm KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson.
Second, an American Fork man has been convicted of murdering his brother-in-law, but the jury decided that he did not conspire to do it. Third, traffic and weather together, Michelle.
Still moving smoothly, I-15 across the Wasatch Front. You're seeing good speeds and no crashes. Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, we had our fun with a little bit of snow yesterday. Now it's time for warmer weather. I'm Matt Johnson.
Yeah, it was nice to see some snow. 34 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time now for KSL's top national stories.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. 7 Republicans joined Senate Democrats today voting to block a package of funding bills from advancing to a full vote, with a partial government shutdown at midnight still looming. Talks, meantime, continue.
President Trump today expressed optimism that a deal can be reached to avert a partial government shutdown.
Hopefully we won't have a shutdown. We're working on that right now. I think we're getting close. The Democrats, I don't believe, want to see it either. So we'll work in a very bipartisan way. I believe not to have a shutdown. We don't want a shutdown.
There are ongoing talks between the White House and Senate Democrats over funding for the Department of Homeland Security. Democrats want to separate out DHS funding from the larger package that includes other federal departments and continue negotiating changes to ICE. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Border Czar Tom Homan says targeted immigration enforcement in Minnesota will continue, but he also signaled a drawdown is coming. And on Wall Street, stocks are down and trading over economic concerns. This is ABC News.
Time for the KSL In-Depth. The man who told police at UVU that he was the one who killed Charlie Kirk has now accepted a plea deal. George Zinn pleaded guilty to obstruction of justice and 2 other charges unrelated to the Kirk investigation. Joining me now live to talk about this is KSL's legal analyst and the co-host of Inside Sources, Greg Skordas. Greg, thanks for spending a few minutes with us. So talk about this deal. What do we know about this plea deal at this point? Hello, Greg? Okay, Greg, are you there? All right. We are going to have to check back with Greg in just a second. We'll talk to him more about this plea deal that was reached by George Zinn.
When you take UTA, you can do just about anything while you ride. You won't even notice all the traffic you're missing. Plan your trip at rideuta.com.
Drivers who switch their home and auto with Progressive could save money and time. Other things try to do this, but they really don't. Like the touchscreen at fast food places. It's not like you save time because it takes you longer to use a touchscreen than, I don't know, someone who works there. And another thing, you'd think it would save money because they're not paying a cashier, right? But no, same price. Also, why is there an option to tip? Who am I tipping? Exactly. Anyway, even if you can't save money and time with some things, you could with a Progressive Home and Auto Bundle. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states or situations.
Save more on the brands pros trust at Lowe's. Right now, get up to 35% off select major appliances and choose from our wide lineup of top brands. Plus, save $100 on a Little Giant 22-foot multi-position ladder, now just $189. Built for strength, flexibility, and job site versatility. Pros, these savings will only be here for a limited time. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 1/30 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for more details.
I was telling you before the break, the man who told police at UVU that he was the one who killed Charlie Kirk, he has now accepted a plea deal. Joining me now is our KSL legal analyst, Greg Skordas. Greg, talk about this plea deal. What do we know about it so far?
Yeah, so what happened today, Maria, was that he entered a guilty plea to a lesser charge of obstructing justice. He was originally charged with obstructing as a second-degree felony. That was reduced to a third-degree felony. But after he was arrested, they found images of child pornography on his phone, and he was charged with 2 counts of possession of child sexual abuse materials. Those are both second-degree felonies, and he pled guilty to those as well.
Let's talk about how what he did, his claims impacted them finding the person responsible for shooting Charlie Kirk. How did this really impact the investigation?
Yeah, so what happened was this. Immediately after the shooting, and while the police were still trying to get the audience and the crowd calmed down, he came up to them, just approached the police officers right away and said, "I did it. I killed him. Now shoot me." And he repeated, "I shot him. Now shoot me." Well, he didn't. It was a lie. but it caused officers to take him into custody. And what they're claiming is that they felt like they had their suspect. They had somebody in custody, and that sort of impeded the rest of their investigation because he had lied to them and said that he had committed a crime that he clearly did not commit. So they charged him with obstructing justice for doing that.
So he's pled guilty. Has he been sentenced, or what kind of sentence does he face?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question because part of the plea bargain is that he would just agree to go to prison. So he has a 0 to 5 for the obstructing and 2 1 to 15s for the child materials, and he agreed to go to prison on all 3 of those. So there's not a sentencing date coming up. He agreed to be sentenced on the spot without what we call a pre-sentence investigation or anything. So the judge went ahead and sentenced him on all 3.
Oh, so how unusual is that?
Very, very unusual. But it tells me that they felt like they just wanted to get it done, that he was probably going to prison anyway, and he agreed that he would go to prison. So they really didn't feel like there was a need to go through the whole pre-sentence investigation report and everything. And he agreed as a part of the plea deal that he would submit to going to prison without even having a report done or anything like that.
All right, Greg, thank you so much for clarifying. That is KSL's legal analyst, Greg Skordas, joining me. Let's get you up to date on the drive now. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU. Love where you bank. And here's I wanted to say Ricky. I know it's not Ricky. Hi, Michelle. What's going on the roads?
Hi, Maria. I'm looking at a live shot of a crash. This is southbound Legacy Parkway, about 500 south. The crash is off to the right. Looks like they have a wrecker pulled over, and looks like maybe they're trying to get a vehicle up out of the ravine over in that area. So just use some caution going through there. When you take UTA, you can do just about anything while you ride. You won't even notice all the traffic you're missing. Plan your trip at rideuta.com. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast. You got a 42 dialed up for today. Partly cloudy skies by afternoon. 46, mixture of sunshine and clouds on Friday. You get into Saturday, downright spring-like. 52, mostly sunny skies. We've got a 54 dialed on Sunday, partly cloudy. A little clipper system possible on Monday. We'll call it mostly cloudy. 30% chance for a shower, 51. Partly cloudy, 48 on Tuesday. And next Wednesday, how about upper 40s and dry skies? From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Sunny and 34 degrees in downtown Salt Lake City. The 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. Quick check of the market, seeing a lot of negative numbers. Investors a bit uncertain today about the economy. A complete update of your money news is coming up next. I've been telling you for the past couple of years why I like Salt Lake City fat loss so much. I like it. Number one, it helped me lose more than 40 pounds. It helped me do it quickly, which kept me motivated. And you know what? This is such a great plan. It's all natural, so you don't have to worry about any sort of side effects. And it just strategically uses a combination of foods to help you drop that weight quickly. Another thing to love about it is less expensive than other plans because you don't have to buy all sorts of things like breakfast bars or shakes. They also have a great app. It not only keeps you accountable, you can reach out at any time and ask questions or voice concerns. Right now, though, the best reason is you can still save 20% off their huge holiday savings, their New Year's sales still ongoing. Lock in those savings now at slcfatloss.com. That's slcfatloss.com, slcfatloss.com.
I'm Dave Cawley, investigative journalist and host of the podcast Cold. In October of 1985, a woman named Cherie Warren left work at a busy Salt Lake City office
to meet her estranged husband at a downtown auto dealership.
She never made it home. Cherie's car surfaced weeks later in Las Vegas.
In the parking lot of a hotel casino.
No one knows how it got there.
Strange. It was strange.
Both Cherie's estranged husband and her boyfriend raised suspicion for investigators.
I kind of thought that he might have done something.
But no arrests were ever made. In Cold Season 3, we dig into double lives, make new connections in the case, and examine the difficulty raised by reasonable doubt.
We want answers just as much as anyone else.
They have creeps like that now too, so nothing's changed.
That's the new Cold Season 3, The Search for Cherie, now available anywhere you get your podcasts.
A list of A-list celebrities are doing their annual visits to Utah for one last year. KSL News Radio's Cameron Elliott reports.
Charlie XCX, Steph Curry, Prince Harry, and Meghan Markle are all making their appearances alongside their movies for this year's Sundance Festival. As the festival rages on for another year and the streets of Park City clog with movie makers and movie lovers alike, Utah begins to mourn the loss of the Sundance Film Festival's residency in the Beehive State. This year's festival will host the premiere of 149 movies. Festivities wrap up on February 1st, so if you haven't hunted down the autograph of your favorite actor yet, you may want to get on that. Cameron Elliott, KSL News Radio.
Watching Utah's money, shares of chip manufacturing tech companies rallied yesterday amid a massive boost driven by AI data center hardware demands. Initially, NVIDIA was the main benefactor from the boost in demand, but the scope has begun to include companies like Texas Instruments. Deutsche Bank is in hot water as German investigators accuse the company of money laundering. Investigators led a search through the bank's offices just a day before the bank was set to release their 2025 earnings reports. Tyson Foods has agreed to a lawsuit settlement to the tune of $48 million. The lawsuit was alleged by food service companies who accused the meat giant of restricting the pork supply to fix prices. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow down by 71 points, sitting at 48,945. S&P down by 38. The NASDAQ, though, it's down more than 300 points. The collection of historically notable films at the Library of Congress is getting bigger. ABC's Mike Dubusky has more.
The oldest film being added to the National Film Registry is The Tramp and the Dog from 1896, one of several comedies at the time where characters lost their pants in a genre that was known as pants humor. High Society is on the list of inductees as well. The 1956 musical comedy pairs up Bing Crosby, Grace Kelly, and Frank Sinatra. And for more modern audiences, there's always 1995's teen comedy Clueless, starring Alicia Silverstone. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
National Film Registry aims to preserve and highlight movies of cultural, historic, or aesthetic importance to the country's film history.
Many people worry they're not making the right investment choices inside their 401ks. Did you know that you might have a little-known opportunity to add some additional investment choices to your 401k and get the help and recommendations you've been looking for? This exciting feature is called a self-directed brokerage window. And the best part? The money still stays within your 401k. Learn how the trusted advisors at Capital Wealth may be able to expand your investment portfolio. To learn more, call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Improving your 401k might mean the difference of retiring a few years earlier. Let's find out. Schedule your no-cost 15-minute consultation with the Capital Wealth team today. Call or text the word VISIT to 801-877-9800 or go to CapitalWealth401k.com. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Respiratory virus season is quickly approaching, meaning we'll see more flu, COVID, and RSV in our community. The good news is vaccines are available that will help prevent these infections and keep people healthy. For flu and COVID, everyone aged 6 months and older are recommended to be vaccinated to help protect ourselves and our families against serious illness. Fall remains the best time to be vaccinated. Respiratory viruses circulate year-round, but peak late fall through winter. Your doctor can recommend which vaccines are best for you and your family.
Brought to you by Intermountain Health and KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by UCCU Supercharger Savings at uccu.com. And here's Ricky Meese.
Still looking at delays.
Oh, Michelle.
That's okay. It's okay, Maria. Still looking at a crash, I should say, southbound Legacy Parkway, about 500 south. They're working on getting a car up out of the ravine onto the records, just off to the right shoulder. And then a fresh crash westbound on the 201. That is at the 201-202 junction, also off to the right shoulder. Are you tired of dealing with missing teeth? Are you ready to ditch the dentures? The experts at Stubbs Dental can change your life with dental implants. Get started at stubbsdental.com today. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
And the remaining fog and mist that's still hanging around should be burning off shortly. Today's high 42 degrees, 46 for a high tomorrow. Over the weekend, we're looking at highs in the 50s and Monday as well. And it looks like our next chance of any sort of showers will come next Tuesday. Right now, 34 degrees in downtown Salt Lake City. Other parts of the state, Provo's at 42, St. George this hour, 54 degrees.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The needs of struggling Utah families taking center stage on Utah's Capitol Hill today. Several bills just unveiled addressing things like maternity leave and child tax credits. Lawmakers and community leaders saying these proposals will strengthen families.
And we really want to encourage Utah families to have a healthy and happy start at the beginning of each child's life. And this goal is to really help encourage strong families.
The time is 1 o'clock on Thursday, January 29th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, so what exactly are lawmakers proposing and how do community leaders think this will help? Eye on the Hill, we have an in-depth look coming up in just a few minutes. Also this hour.
So we'll work in a very bipartisan way, I believe, not to have a shutdown. We don't want a shutdown.
President Trump pushing for Senate Democrats to come back to the table after a procedural vote failed this morning, moving the government one step closer to a partial shutdown. But first, our top stories. Disability advocates are worried about potential state budget cuts that could leave many without essential services. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
Right now, state committees are looking through a list of potential budget cuts that include cutting disability services by as much as 10%. This could cut provider wages from $15 to $18 an hour to $12 an hour. Disability advocates say this would be a devastating loss, leaving many without essential services. Executive Director of Utah's Association of Community Services, Nancy Strahan, says there is no way to reach the required amount of cuts without directly impacting the state's most vulnerable population.
However, Representative Raymond Ward says right now they are only looking at all possible cuts and feels the state will consider services that will hurt no one before looking at anything that could hurt those who rely on the state for help. Our top national story from ABC News. Today, Senate Democrats voted unanimously to block a package of 6 funding bills that would fund large portions of the government through the end of September, meaning a partial government shutdown could still happen in the coming days. The bill failed to advance by a vote of 45 to 55. It would have needed at least 60 votes to proceed. Multiple Republicans also cast votes against the package, but is there progress on negotiations to avert a shutdown? ABC News White House correspondent Karen Travers has the latest.
President Trump today expressed optimism that a deal can be reached to avert a partial government shutdown.
Hopefully we won't have a shutdown. We're working on that right now. I think we're getting close. The Democrats, I don't believe, want to see it either. So we'll work in a very bipartisan way, I believe, not to have a shutdown. We don't want a shutdown.
There are ongoing talks between the White House and Senate Democrats over funding for the Department of Homeland Security. Democrats want to separate out DHS funding from the larger package that includes other federal departments and continue negotiating changes to ICE. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow down by 86 points, sitting at 48,928. S&P down by 40, and the NASDAQ down by 318 points. Traffic and weather is brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU, love where you bank. Michelle?
Good news for drivers southbound on Legacy Parkway at 500 South. That crash that did go off into the ravine, they did just tow that away. But we're still watching a crash that is on the westbound 201 freeway at the 202 junction. That's off to the right shoulder, not causing any problems. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Updated forecast showing us a 30% chance of showers on Monday and then a 10% chance on Tuesday. Today's high 42, right now 34 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
The Management Minute is a service of the MBA program and the Shingo Institute at Utah State University. I'm Professor Scott Hammond. Ever seen an infection spread? I watched a team on the floor of a factory build a complicated technology. Every time they completed a task, they returned to the team leader, reported, and then got a new assignment with careful instructions on how to complete the next task. I asked why they worked that way. That's the way we've always done it, but it included words like oversight, tradition, evolving. In fact, the process was not evolving. A team of observers using the principles of the Shingo model in an hour of observation showed the team how to eliminate waste. Fewer steps, less cutting, less walking, more working. Production costs went down by 30%. That's all it took. Before long, the entire plant was infected with ideas of continuous improvement. Learn more about continuous improvement in an MBA from Utah State University. Go to utahstatemba.com or check out the Shingo model at shingo.org. I'm Scott Hammond. Hope to see you in one of our classes.
You served behind the desk. You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted. You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
And so did you. When you raised your hand and swore an oath to your country, when you put your name on a dotted line, you became part of only 1% of Americans who did the same. You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran. Because no matter when, where, or how you served, you made a sacrifice for your country, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Reach out to a loved one, to a fellow veteran, to VA. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos.
Eye on the Hill 2026. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
As the Utah legislative session trudges along, lawmakers are unveiling a slew of bills designed to help families. Some state lawmakers and community leaders just wrapped up a news conference at the Capitol outlining their goals to help Utah families. Among the bills just released, a bill to expand maternity leave for state employees, a proposal to adjust the child care business tax credit, and another bill that addresses the child tax credits. We're going to chat with one of the lawmakers about these bills in just a few minutes, but we wanted to begin our Eye on the Hill coverage talking with a community leader who's been involved in the creation of these bills. Joining me on Midday is the Chief of Staff for the Policy Project, Brooke Gledhill-Wood. Brooke, thanks so much for being with me.
So glad to be here, Maria.
Okay, we've talked about this for quite some time. Utah families are struggling, and how do you hope these bills will directly help them?
Yeah, I think when it comes to family affordability in the state, there's so many facets to the problem that it feels almost overwhelming and you're unsure of where to begin. That's why at the Policy Project, we really wanted to zoom in on families with young children so that we can make sure that Utah remains a great state to have and raise children. And so we're excited about these bills we're working on with the legislators that are going to increase the number of available child care slots while also giving families the financial flexibility they need to make the decisions that are best for their family, whether that's trying to have a parent stay home or if all available parents need to be in the workforce.
Okay, so talk about how these bills would help with child care.
Yeah, so we have two bills that are relating to child care. One is expanding high-quality home-based child care. This is sponsored by Senator Escamilla and Representative Auxier, and this is really focused on home-based providers and expanding their capacity to offer good care. They can receive grants of up to $5,000, and it'll be incentivizing specifically providers who are operating in child care deserts or offering child care during tricky times like nights and weekends for our shift workers. And overall, this is a great solution, especially when you look at rural Utah, where licensed center-based care doesn't always work with the economics there, but having licensed home-based providers is a really flexible solution that can really move the needle in available child care slots in the state.
Let's talk for a minute about these child care tax credits. So first of all, there's a child care business tax credit. What's that intended to do?
So that's really trying to incentivize employers to get involved in the solution. We know that the lack of available childcare is not just a problem for families, it's also a huge problem for businesses and the workforce. And so this is a tax incentive that'll mirror a recently expanded federal tax incentive that allows businesses who contribute towards the cost of childcare for their employees to receive really generous tax credits in return. And so we're really trying to prioritize small business involvement, and by stacking the federal and proposed state tax credit, they would be able to receive up to 80% back through a tax credit on anything they're spending on their employees' childcare.
Okay, that is quite substantial. What other things are really happening to help families right now?
So a lot of our other bills and RFAs we're working on are focused on increasing tax credit participation and eligibility. We're looking to expand the number of families who are eligible for Utah's state child tax credit by about 10,000 families. And then also 1 in 5 eligible Utahns are not filing for really generous, refundable, family-friendly tax credits at the federal level. And so we want to increase the awareness and the assistance for filing for those tax credits. Families, depending on income and family size, can receive up to $8,000 refunded through that. And so a big focus on making sure families are taking advantage of the tax credits that are already available federally.
So, Brooke, I'm wondering how different this is from past legislative sessions. I don't recall a huge number of family-oriented bills being released in the last session. How different is this?
We feel like it's a really significant step forward. There's been years of advocacy to kind of get something moving in the childcare space and the family affordability space. And I think legislators are just hearing consistently from their constituents that this is a top priority. And when it's really impacting families at every level across the state, there is definitely steps we can take to move the needle for Utah families, and legislators are really excited to participate and partner on these bills this legislative session.
Brooke, I appreciate your help. Thanks so much for being with me.
Of course. Thank you.
Brooke Gledhill-Wood is the Policy Project Chief of Staff. Stay with us. We'll be back with more Eye on the Hill coverage in just 60 seconds.
When the new year hits, every business could use a little something to stay ahead. A lift, a jump start, an edge, or perhaps a boost. Like the all-new 5-year business boost from Comcast Business. It's the certainty of a price lock for 5 years on qualifying internet bundles. Plus, you'll have the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment, so your whole team can stay connected at a great rate. And to sweeten the deal, ask about a $500 prepaid card when you add 2 lines of mobile. It's the boost your business deserves. So sign up for the 5-year business boost and get a 5-year price lock on ultra-reliable Wi-Fi. Plus, ask about a $500 prepaid card. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 3/22/26. New customers only. 1-year contract required for guaranteed rate. 5-year pricing applies to monthly service charge excluding taxes and fees. Best Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA Fixed Broadband Experience Report, May 2025.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me. And believe it or not, they really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thank you for talking.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Eye on the Hill 2026. We are continuing our deep dive into some bills unveiled today that address issues facing Utah families. Before the break, we spoke with a community leader about the kind of impact these bills could have on real families, many of whom are struggling. This segment, let's chat with a lawmaker about the legislation. And joining me live on Midday is State Representative Ariel DeFay. Representative, thanks so much for being with me.
Hi, Maria. Thank you for having me.
So let's begin with your bill, the one that you're working on, expanding maternity leave for state employees. And first of all, let me say, I didn't realize that they still only got 6 weeks.
Yes, and actually pretty recent history that they even got 6 weeks. But the nice thing is that our culture is shifting and people are understanding how important it is for mothers to spend that critical time at home with their child. So I've introduced House Bill 329, which extends maternity leave for state employees from 6 weeks to 12 weeks.
Okay. Does this also include paternity leave?
So the state already has a paternity leave policy for 3 weeks, so it maintains that 3-week parental leave policy.
Okay, so talk about the cost of this. I mean, the only criticism I've ever heard is that this is going to cost the state a lot more money. How do you address that?
Yeah. Well, the wonderful thing about this, Maria, is that it actually doesn't have an additional cost for state employee leave. As we did the analysis on this, the agencies can actually absorb the cost. So there's zero fiscal impact on the state employee part. What we have done in addition is we've included a teacher maternity leave pilot program with a $3 million reimbursement pool that will help districts and charter schools extend leave for their teachers. And that's part of the broader part of the bill. So there is some cost, but it's actually much lower than we anticipated it being.
We all know that childcare has been just a huge problem in our area, just the lack of childcare, the lack of affordable childcare. You have a couple of childcare bills that you're looking at. Describe how those are aimed at helping families.
Yes, yeah. As for this policy specifically, it supports families, in the moment when infant care costs are the highest. And some say that it's more expensive than college tuition to send an infant to daycare. So this is helping families with those costs while simultaneously promoting the health and safety of the mother, the development of the child. But yes, as a body, we formed a Strong Families working group, and from that working group, we came up with a bunch of policies. We have business tax credits. That is being worked on by Representative Jason Thompson. And then we have Senator Luz Escamilla, who is working on a child care bill. And then Representative Tracy Miller is also extending child care tax credits. So there are a few different bills that are working to help in the child care space.
Representative, is this package of bills something that both sides of the aisle are behind?
Absolutely. This is a bipartisan effort. A lot of people look at the Hill and think that we're divided. We're united on most issues, and we are definitely united on making Utah families and keeping Utah families strong.
Has there been another session in recent history where you've had a whole slew of bills just aimed at families or at helping families like this?
Not that I can recall. I'm really proud of the efforts from both sides of the aisle coming together and coming up with some really meaningful policy solutions.
We appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you so much.
Representative Ariel DeFay joining me. At the same time, lawmakers were introducing bills addressing Utah families. Another set of lawmakers unveiled several bills to tackle cost of living and affordability here in the state. At 2 o'clock here on Midday, we'll go in-depth on those proposals, speaking with a lawmaker and a community leader to get the potential impact of the legislation. Border Czar Tom Homan is now in Minneapolis, and he's committing to draw down ICE forces if local and state authorities cooperate. Details coming up next. But first, it's traffic on KSL News Radio. It's brought to you by UCCU. Supercharge your savings at uccu.com. Michelle?
Still working on this crash, Maria, westbound on the 201 as you're at the 202 junction. This is making your way toward Tooele. Off to the right shoulder, again, not causing any problems. And then some visibility issues continue due to some fog that is in the Woods Cross area. Common Spirit hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advanced health care in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with Human Kindness is here. Hello, Human Kindness. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Ben Care was born with Cruzon syndrome, told he'd face a life of limits.
People do a lot for someone to notice them, just trying to get someone to pay attention to them. That's not your deal.
Impossible adversity didn't break him.
You will never live an ordinary life.
It fueled him.
So make it extraordinary.
Wrestling defined him. Courage shaped him, and refusing to be normal became his superpower.
We could make excuses, or we can just chew the excuses up and swallow them. And then you end up like Ben.
This is the true story of a young man who didn't just rise above the odds, he crushed them.
A local wrestler could have used his physical limitations to quit sports. Instead, he used it to his advantage.
Stand Out, the Ben Care story. In theaters now, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Get tickets at standoutfilm.com. When life says you can't, Ben Care proves you can. standoutfilm.com.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights, at home or at work. We'll make your happy place your own. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
You know, this is one of those topics that no one really wants to think about, but if you're a parent, a homeowner, married, or helping take care of aging parents, it's something that honestly deserves a little attention. I'm talking about estate planning. And before you tune out thinking it's complicated or expensive, that's actually why I want to mention Trust and Will. Trust and Will makes estate planning feel way less intimidating than it sounds. They offer modern, attorney-designed wills and trusts that you can create online. And the process is surprisingly straightforward. In fact, you can create a will in as little as 30 minutes. That includes things like guardianship for your kids or pets, how your assets are distributed, and even healthcare directives. Don't wait until it's too late. Protect your loved ones with Trust and Will, the most trusted name in online estate planning. Go to trustandwill.com/plan to get 20% off. That's trustandwill.com/plan for 20% off. trustandwill.com/PLAN.
My friend Joey loves to use old familiar sayings.
You know what they say?
The problem is,
don't look at a gift horse, cause you can't make them drink.
He gets a lot of them mixed up.
People who live in glass houses,
here it comes,
shouldn't cry over spilt milk.
There are also a lot of sayings in the financial world, like, you'll pay lower taxes in retirement. But for many people, it's just not true. You may have done a great job saving in that 401k or IRA, but Uncle Sam is ready to grab a big portion of that money. The team at Galileo Wealth Management can help with strategies that you can start now to lower your tax bill in the future. More for you and less for Uncle Sam.
Or as they say, an apple a day is worth two in the bush.
Get the facts on your tax bill in retirement. Call Galileo Wealth today at 385-247-7000. It's 385-247-7000 or online at GalileoWealth.com.
And remember, a stitch in time keeps the doctor away. It does, you know.
Hi, Grandma. Can Nina come over for dinner?
Sure. I've been meaning to ask you, what would happen if someone offered you a drink?
Grandma?
If anyone ever does, I want you to say, no, I have too much respect for my family and I don't want to get in trouble.
I promise, Grandma.
They really do hear you. For tips on what to say, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. That's underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. This message brought to you by SAMHSA and this station.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Borders Czar Tom Homan says big changes are coming to how immigration enforcement operations are handled in Minneapolis and that a drawdown of agents is part of the plan. But he says they are still on mission and still have a job to do.
I didn't come to Minnesota for photo ops or headlines. You haven't seen me. I came here to seek solutions, and that's what we're going to do. And we've come a long way, and we got some good wins for the people of Minnesota, I think, and for the administration and for the safety and security of this city. One thing we did agree on, though, everybody I talked to agreed on, was that community safety is paramount. One thing we all agreed on was U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement is a legitimate law enforcement agency that has a duty to enforce the laws enacted by Congress and keep this community safe.
Homan said under his watch, he would refocus Minnesota forces on targeting criminals only.
All we want is to talk to the person that local and state law enforcement authorities locked in a jail cell. They chose to lock this person up. That's who we want to talk to, the public safety threat. So the argument is that protects victim witnesses of crime. It's a bunch of crap. Victims and witnesses of crime don't want the bad guy back in their neighborhood either.
He says it's of paramount importance that local law enforcement agencies work with ICE. He says that's the best way to get hordes of ICE officers off the street, helping ease concerns of locals.
We have a job to do. We're going to arrest them. So we're going to find them. And what happens is now we got to arrest somebody on his turf. We have access to who knows what weapons. Now we got to send the whole team out. Cover the back door, cover the front door, officer safety reasons. Then because of the hateful rhetoric and the attacks on ICE officers, now we got to send a security team behind the arrest team. So what could have been done with one person in a safety and security jail, now we got 15, 16 people out there doing it. I know that causes stress in the community. So if we get these agreements in place, that means less agents on the street. More agents in the jail means less agents in the street.
Homan also emphasized the importance of allowing federal agents to make targeted detainments in a jail, which he said is safer for the arrestee, the agent, and the public. The FBI now searching the election records of Fulton County in Georgia after tensions over the alleged fraud in the 2020 election are relit. ABC's Pierre Thomas breaks down federal raid on those election offices.
Records related to the 2020 election, including ballots, are now in the hands of the FBI after its agents, armed with a warrant, searched the elections office in Fulton County, Georgia, Wednesday. This is the first sign that DOJ is moving to investigate once again President Trump's false claims that the 2020 election was stolen from him. Last night, Fulton County officials expressing alarm about where the voting records and ballots were being taken and raising concerns about the possibility they could be tampered with.
The fact that now they have been removed from this facility, out of our control, we don't know where they're being taken. We don't know what's going to happen to them.
The search warrant obtained by ABC affiliate WSB in Atlanta shows agents were looking for documents that include all physical ballots from the 2020 election in Fulton County, all tabulator tapes from every voting machine in the county, all voter rolls from the 2020 election. Just 1 week ago, the president declaring prosecutions are next.
People will soon be prosecuted for what they did. It's probably breaking news, but it should be. It was a rigged election. Can't have rigged elections.
Democrats like Senator John Ossoff, who is running for re-election in Georgia, slamming the move.
This is a shot across the bow at the midterm elections. He tried to steal power when he lost it in 2020. We have to be prepared for all kinds of schemes and shenanigans.
Democrats also blasting Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, seen in this photo published by Reuters outside the election facility during the search. Senator Mark Warner, who is the vice chair of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, calling her appearance a serious breach of trust for failing to inform Congress of her actions and calling it a political stunt. Joe Biden won the 2020 election, including the state of Georgia. In fact, confirmed by a full statewide audit and a hand recount. At the time, Trump tried to pressure Georgia's Republican Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, to find him the votes he needed.
So, look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state.
Trump was later indicted in Fulton County on charges related to alleged election interference. That case dismissed late last year after the prosecutor who charged him was disqualified. In 2020, the president's own former Attorney General Bill Barr determined there was no widespread voter fraud in the election.
We've yet to see the exact allegation or the specific reason why the ballots were seized. It's critical for everyone to see the nature and credibility of whatever the evidence is that convinced the federal judge to approve the warrant for the apparently unprecedented search.
KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas gave a little bit of background on the mechanics of a raid like this.
So when law enforcement serves a search warrant, they have to go before a judge prior to that and get the search warrant signed. And to do that, they prepare what's called an affidavit in support of the search warrant. Basically, dear judge, I'm a law enforcement officer. I believe a crime was committed, and I believe that the evidence of that crime is, for example, at the Fulton County clerk's office. What we don't know, what hasn't been disclosed, is what that affidavit says.
Mm-hmm.
It's called a probable cause statement. In other words, how is it that I'm entitled to this search warrant? Judge, give me a search warrant because here's what I think happened. That here's what I think happened part, the probable cause part, is going to be really important. Did the FBI give accurate facts? Did they give all the facts? Is it something that could be challenged? I mean, a judge signed it, so I can assume that the judge felt that the affidavit established probable cause. But what is it that the FBI was alleging in that affidavit? We don't know that. All we know is they served a search warrant. We have that, but it basically says go grab boxes.
Right.
It doesn't say why or how or under what authority they're doing that. But the affidavit will be really critical once that's finally unsealed, if it is.
The searches likely stem from claims of widespread fraud in the 2020 election made by the Trump administration. It's 1:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. One step closer to a partial government shutdown after Senate Democrats voted against a procedural move this morning. Many Utahns getting a third paycheck this month. What should you do with that money? It might not be as black and white as you think. And KSL traffic, Michelle?
KSL traffic trooper giving us a heads up as to the cause of the delays northbound on State Street approaching 39 South. It is a tractor-trailer crash blocking the center lanes.
It's 1:30.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. A Minnesota man who allegedly attacked Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar at a town hall earlier this week was charged in federal court. Here's ABC's Stephen Portnoy.
The FBI says the 55-year-old suspect squirted the Congresswoman with a solution of apple cider vinegar mixed with water. An affidavit says agents interviewed an associate of the suspect who said that years ago, the man said of Ilhan Omar, "Someone should kill that expletive." He's now charged in federal court with assaulting a member of Congress.
Democrats calling for DHS Secretary Kristi Noem to be fired over immigration operations in Minneapolis and deadly shootings involving federal agents. Democratic lawmakers, along with 7 Republicans, earlier blocked a funding package to avert a government shutdown that deadlines at midnight as they demand changes to ICE operations. President Trump held his first cabinet meeting of the new year, saying he spoke to Venezuela's interim leader, asked U.S. officials to reopen the country's airspace to commercial traffic. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. A bill is being introduced at the state capitol today to expand the number of weeks state employees get for maternity leave after giving birth to a child. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
Utah currently provides new mothers with 6 weeks of maternity leave. Representative Ariel DeFay's bill would expand that to 12 weeks for new mothers.
And we really want to encourage Utah families to have a healthy and happy start at the beginning of each child's life. And this goal is to really help encourage strong families.
There's also a portion of the bill that provides some leave for adoptive parents and foster parents. It also creates a fund to help schools provide leave for teachers. Now, critics of the bill so far, they've worried about the cost, but DeFay says giving new mothers leave actually helps job retention. Randall Jepson, KSL News Radio.
Other local stories KSL is following. The city of Moab released a statement today saying that their police officers are not responsible for the death of Gabby Petito in 2021. The statement comes after the Utah Supreme Court agreed to hear arguments in the wrongful death suit filed by Petito's family against the Moab Police Department. Petito was killed by her fiancé, Brian Landry, just days after the couple was stopped by officers in Moab. Her family believes Moab police should have taken more action to protect her from domestic violence, but police say they separated the couple for the night and they shouldn't be held liable for a murder that happened 400 miles away. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is down by 83 points, sitting at 48,930. S&P down by 40. The NASDAQ down by 322 points. Traffic and weather together. It's sponsored by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU. Love where you bank. What's going on, Michelle?
We do have a travel spot, Maria. Northbound State Street, 39th South. They have all the northbound lanes closed. You will be forced to either go east or west there as they're working on trying to get this tractor trailer and another vehicle out of the intersection. So you'll want to allow some extra time to get through that area. Join Ovation Homes Fall in Love with Your Home event, February 14th, hosted by KSL Greenhouse Show live in West Point and Waffle Love at Sadie's Glen in Syracuse. Details visit ovationhomes.com. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
And our temperatures climbing over the next few days up to close to the mid-50s by Sunday. And then our next chance of rain coming on Monday, a 30% chance. 36 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. That's Cars with a K to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's carsforkids.org.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
You were listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. A procedural vote that would have set the stage to avoid a shutdown and fully fund the government through September, failing on the Senate floor. The package of 6 bills failed to move ahead due to Democrats' objections of a bill that would continue funding the Department of Homeland Security. Before the vote, the Deseret News reported that Senate Democrats were close to closing a deal with the White House dealing with ICE funding. So let's dive in on this developing story with Cami Mondo, congressional correspondent for the Deseret News. Cami, thanks for being with me. So tell us what happened just a short time ago in the Senate.
Yes, absolutely. So as you said, Senate Democrats are closing in on a deal with the White House to kind of implement these new reforms for ICE agents and other immigration officers. It's just that they didn't quite get everything they needed before the vote was scheduled at 11:30. That doesn't mean that the vote is technically dead yet. Leader Soon was able to switch his vote so that in a procedural way, they can bring it up anytime they are ready. They're just waiting to, finalize those last few details of this deal.
And this is something both sides of the aisle can agree on?
So far, it's looking like they will get consent from everybody. They're going to need unanimous consent just to move forward, but it's looking like they're, making sure every single lawmaker is on board and that they can get this through the Senate before the deadline on Friday night.
Yeah, it's important to note that this is just one step in the process. Describe the steps that this bill has to work, kind of make its way through before it actually does become law.
Absolutely. Right now, we're just dealing with the Senate. We need the Senate to make certain changes that Democrats can make sure they get through the filibuster. Once they do that, they have to send it back to the House to approve it before it can go to Trump's desk. The House is not scheduled to be back until Monday. There are currently no plans to come back for the weekend, but it's seeming like the Senate may vote either late tonight or sometime tomorrow. But like you said, it will take through the weekend probably for us to even get this all the way through to Trump.
Right. In the past, when we have talked about holdups with funding bills, the talk has been about insurance or credits that people got during the pandemic. This one's a little bit different. The holdup is over Homeland Security.
Yes, it feels a lot different than the last shutdown because the last shutdown was mostly just partisan, policies on that insurance and healthcare. This one seems a lot more like there is agreement across both aisles that there do need to be some reforms to the federal immigration officers and how they've been operating, especially with that shooting that we saw last weekend. So we do see a little bit more willingness from both sides to kind of come to an agreement on what they can do on this Homeland Security funding bill, which typically every year is the most difficult one to pass.
It feels like the rhetoric has changed. It looks like it sounded to me earlier that there was just pushback altogether just because Democrats didn't like what was happening with ICE. But it sounds like things have changed in the last day or so.
Yes, we saw from the White House and from Senate Republicans, even over the weekend, that they were completely against taking out the DHS funding. I think as you're seeing, even just the public pushback of what has happened and then President Trump actually reining back some of what he's doing in Minneapolis, that's when we started to see Senate Republicans kind of shift their strategy a little bit. And now it does seem like that everyone is a little bit more open to making changes.
So if they do not reach an agreement, it sounds like they are going to, but if they don't reach an agreement, what is at stake?
Right now, what is at stake is that there are several other funding bills that are attached to this package. It's not just Department of Homeland Security, but we also have, defense and labor, health and human services, transportation, several other agencies and departments that won't get their funding if something is not done before tomorrow. Even with DHS, if that portion is the only one that is not funded, that still deals with, TSA and FEMA. Those won't get their funding unless they have some sort of extension in place.
So is this about the same as what the last government shutdown was like?
It's almost there. It's about 6 bills fewer than the last shutdown. The last shutdown was a total shutdown. This one would only be partial because Congress has passed a few spending bills since then, so it wouldn't reach as drastically as the last one.
Okay, so what's the next thing you were watching for?
Absolutely. What we're watching for right now is how long they want to have that DHS extension. Right now, the Democrats are talking with the White House to see how long they want to fund DHS to buy time for negotiations. We're hearing, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, some saying 6 weeks. So that's the one issue that is still up in the air before we can get an agreement on the floor.
All right, Cami, thanks so much for explaining all of this.
Thank you.
That is Cami Mondo, Deseret News congressional correspondent. As the east and southern states continue digging out from the massive winter storm that hit them earlier this week, another storm is quickly approaching. The storm will begin with snow over Appalachia, moving then into Georgia and the Carolinas and South Virginia. We get the latest preview of that storm from ABC News.
This morning, relentless winter weather wreaking havoc across the country. A heavy load of snow and ice causing the roof at this rodeo arena in Arkansas to come crashing down. In Austin, Texas, roads turning into ice rinks. This car spinning out of control, sliding down a hill. Parts of 2 interstate highways in Mississippi forced to shut down as crews try to clear ice and stalled semi-trucks from the roads.
There's not a lot of passenger vehicles. I think a lot of people are heeding the call to, unless you have to be on the roadways, to stay off. We anticipate that these roads are likely to freeze over again.
Some drivers have been stuck in the pileup for hours, even days.
No movement. Truck almost ran out of fuel. I had to cut it off.
Utility companies are rushing to restore power to nearly 300,000 customers in the South. This lineman in Mississippi dangling from a helicopter, working to restore high-voltage transmission lines. In hard-hit Nashville, officials say some outages will last throughout the weekend. In Frisco, Texas, a community is mourning the death of 16-year-old Grace Brito, the second teen to die in a sledding accident that killed her best friend. The pair were on a sled being pulled by a car when they hit a tree. As response teams try to dig out from last weekend's storm, another storm is set to hit the East Coast this weekend.
We're getting more confident in the storm track and some snows in the Carolinas. More of a glancing blow I-95 corridor into the upcoming weekend. Still could be heavy snows parts of Long Island, maybe Cape Cod as well.
At least half a foot of snow could fall from Georgia to Virginia.
Record cold temperatures are also expected in Florida, with a low temperature of 26 degrees forecast for Saturday morning in Miami. Meanwhile, we will be seeing 50-degree temperatures here in Utah. Who would have thought? Midday continues in just 60 seconds.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement, and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hardworking partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section and after Dad's back injury. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Trouble with opioids can start at home with unused medicines such as pills, patches, and syrups. You can remove the risk and protect your family. Find out how at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Workers rejoice. January is a 3-paycheck month. That means most people who get paid every other week look to get, and I'm doing air quotes here, an extra paycheck this month. Now, you might be one of those who plan to spend it all, or maybe you want to save it all instead. Is there something else you could do with it? Joining me now on Midday is Bankrate financial analyst Stephen Cates. Stephen, thanks for being with me. Before we get started, oh my gosh, we asked our Facebook followers what they plan to do with the extra paycheck, and I wanted to read just a few of those comments. Mitzi says, oh, dear KSL, we are paying bills. Carrie Sue, saving it for vacations. Mike, maybe people should treat it like any other time they get paid. Dustin says, pay off his Christmas gift. Amanda's using it for an upcoming wedding. Okay, we know it's not a true extra paycheck. It fits in with your total pay for the year. But for people who get paid bi-weekly, it's a nice little perk to have that third paycheck of the month. Now, those folks usually only get 2 paychecks for the month, so it can feel like a bit of extra money when you get that third paycheck. So, Stephen, what do you recommend that folks do with this extra paycheck?
I think all those answers were pretty great, actually. What most people do is they structure their spending and expenses, especially mentally, on monthly basis. You pay your mortgage or your rent on a monthly basis. You're not thinking about it on an annual basis. And so when an extra paycheck like this pops up for those who get paid biweekly, it can feel a little bit like found money. I heard I'm going to save it. I heard I'm going to pay down debt. Those are two of probably the top things that I would recommend people do.
Yeah, I know for me personally, I'm going to use it to pay off the credit card debt that I accrued over the holidays. But so it is nice to have that. So, Stephen, talk to us for a minute. Are there some other things that we can do with this money? I mean, a lot of people are paying down debt. Is there some way to set it aside that it could actually be more efficient for us or make some money for us?
So the way that I would think about it is, an order of events. If you don't have an emergency fund of any kind, you have no cushion of cash to protect you from life's what-ifs, that's the place that you want to start. You want to introduce at least a reasonable foundation of financial security for yourself. So a little bit of cash on the side that you can pull at to turn some sort of a crisis into simply an inconvenience. And if you already have that, then paying down high interest debt is going to be one of the next best options. Credit card debt can be, carrying an interest rate of anywhere from probably 17 to 25%. We've found in the numbers we track that the average credit card interest rate is around 19.5% right now. That's a punishingly high rate. So paying that down, reducing the principal so that interest cannot compound as hard is going to be a good way to put yourself ahead.
So say they choose the option of putting together an emergency fund. Savings accounts aren't making a whole lot right now. Is there a place that they should put that would be better than just a savings account?
So it depends on what kind of savings account you have. If you have a savings account at a major bank, you're probably getting next to nothing, maybe 0.5%. But if you are looking out or have not looked out at high yield savings accounts, a lot of online banks offer rates that are over 3%. You might be able to, with a lot of homework, even find one that's nearly 4%. So those rates are still positive, even adjusting for inflation, and that's a great place to park your cash savings. Now, it isn't going to grow, huge, in the comparison of the stock market or something, but you have low risk, and that money is meant to be available easily and accessible. It's not really meant to try to grow really fast.
You mentioned the high credit card rates. If somebody has more than one credit card and say one has a little bit lower rate, but it's closer to being paid off, is it better for them to tackle that one first or just definitely go right after those higher rates?
So there's no wrong way to pay down debt. Ultimately, whatever gets you closer to the finish line, that is the right way to do it, whatever you feel comfortable with. But if we're going to talk about an optimal way to do this, it should be from the highest interest rate to the lowest interest rate.
All right. Stephen, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for being with me.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
You too. Stephen Cates is with Bankrate. He's a Bankrate financial analyst. More Utahns are opting for public transit than ever before. How could that affect UTA's current projects? We'll get that answer after the break. But first, it's traffic on KSL News Radio. It's sponsored by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU, love where you bank.
They're still working on this accident, Maria. This is in South Salt Lake, northbound. It's on 39th South and State Street. Now, if you're headed northbound, you will be forced to either turn left or right to go east or westbound on 39th South. If you're trying to make your way westbound on 39th South to cross State Street, you will be forced to go northbound. Supercharge your savings with UCCU's High Yield Savings Certificate. The more you deposit, the more you earn. Visit UCCU.com. Select a high yield savings option and earn more. UCCU, love where you bank. Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sign up for KSL Text Alerts. Get breaking news and traffic updates by texting the word news to 57500. Want access to exclusive contests? Text contest to 57500. Jazz fans, text the word jazz for breaking jazz updates. And Cougar fans, text BYU to 57500 for the latest on the Cougars. Message and data rates may apply.
Join KSL News Radio and the movie show this Friday, 10 to 1 at the Layton NPS store at 1150 North Main Street in Layton, npsstore.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. You know, the big wireless companies say they have discounts for people over 55. But unless you're willing to sit on hold and ask, you're probably paying more than you should. At Consumer Cellular, there's nothing to hunt down. We're built for people 50 plus with plans starting at just $20. And our 100% US-based customer service actually answers the phone. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today and get your second month free for a limited time.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Big tax changes this year could mean a bigger refund, and Jackson Hewitt knows how to get you your biggest. You'll get $100 just to try us. That won't make you filthy rich, but definitely gas plus groceries rich. And since we know all the new tax codes, you could get thousands back, which would make you low-key loaded. Or at least wealthy adjacent? Go with our trusted pros and get $100 to switch. Rest easy. Jackson Hewitt's got your taxes. Guaranteed. Limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
I'm back to doing what I love and more. Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you want to walk, play pickleball, and enjoy other fun activities to stay healthy, but you can't because of bad feet? Hi, this is Mike, and the Good Feet store wants to help.
I just had difficulty walking. I tried them on in the store, and my foot felt so much better.
Do you keep buying new shoes and inserts with little or no relief?
I tried all kinds of shoes. It was the arch supports that made the difference from the Good Feet store.
Don't let bad feet, knees, or back problems get in the way of staying healthy and having fun.
Thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm bowling 3 nights a week.
Get back to doing what you love. At the Good Feet store, we'll personally fit you with high-quality arch supports to maximize your comfort. Stop in the Good Feet store or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. Beware of telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you. Callers threatening you with arrest or other legal action and demanding money are not from us. If you receive a call like this, hang up, do not provide them with any form of payment or information. Report the call at oig.ssa.gov.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. More people opted for the trains and the buses this year despite several construction projects around the state. UTA just released their annual report, which shows ridership being up in 2025. UTA's Gavin Gustafson joined me to talk about the projects that made a big difference for riders last year and how they plan to expand and enhance public transit in 2026.
We did have some major construction on the Red Line that basically shut down the Red Line tracks service for all of the summer. But overall, ridership on just about all of our modes of transit are up. So, yeah, overall, we had a really good year in 2025.
Describe for us the things that you were able to accomplish or achieve in 2025.
2025 was a busy year. One of our biggest ones was the opening of the South Jordan Downtown Track Station, which is a new track station on the Red Line. It accommodates a massive growth that's going on in that area. Serves as a direct access point to the new Bees Stadium, the ballpark at American First Square. So that was one of the big ones, and we were able to do that in less than a year and a half. We got that done on a really accelerated timeline. Coming this year, but an accomplishment for last year nonetheless, is we're going to open the Mid-Valley Express early. It's going to go into service in April of this year, when originally it was planned for maybe the end of 2026. So we're very excited about that. A lot of construction took place out on 47th South with new stations down the center of the road and dedicated bus lanes. So that was a big project for us this year. Last year's winter season, 24-25, saw another nice 3% increase in ridership. So more people are finding that's the best and easiest way to get up the canyons rather than driving themselves and dealing with the conditions at times. So yeah, it was 2025 was a really big year for us.
Talk to us for a minute about the changes that were also made or the achievements that were accomplished in 2025 in the Utah County area.
Yeah, good point. We opened the BYU Central Campus Station on the Utah Valley Express line, which has been a long time coming. There was a gap in stations. We had a Campus North Station and a South Campus Station, but no Central Campus Station. And we were able to work with the neighborhood nearby in the city of Provo and certainly the BYU University, and we're able to open that campus. And that's been a long time coming, long asked for, and we were able to get it done this year.
Before I move ahead to look at the future, what you hope to accomplish in 2026, how would you overall describe how things went for UTA in 2025?
2025 was a strong year. Again, we had some challenges with the Red Line being shut down for basically all of the summer. We needed to upgrade some of the infrastructure along that line, and that S-curve section goes through a lot of wear and tear. Anytime a train is not going straight and making a curve, it's going to wear extra on those rails. So that was a big project. But we got a lot done, and our ridership was still strong. We're still well above the national average as far as the pandemic recovery. The national average hovers around 80%, and we've been over 90%, I think 92. Our bus ridership has recovered fully. So, again, 2025 is a great year, and we're looking forward to another good year this year.
All right. Describe what improvements people can expect in 2026.
Well, the big one is the MVX route. That's going to connect from Murray Central Station, where you can get on certainly this bus line, several other bus lines. You can also connect with the red and the blue line for tracks there, and front runner. So Murray Central is a big station right there in the middle of everything. And it's going to connect from Murray, through Taylorsville, and all the way out to West Valley. We have a dedicated transit hub on the campus of Salt Lake Community College out there in Taylorsville, which is really an important piece of our system, is being able to connect to higher education, and SLIC is a really strong partner with us. So we're thankful that they work with us on that transit hub. So MVX, that's big. That's going to open in the spring. The S-Line extension construction begins really any time now, early 2026, and that's expected to be completed next year. We're also working with of course, UDOT and our partners in Utah County to launch a new innovative mobility services area, which is the on-demand service that will cover northern Utah County, which is an area that is growing incredibly fast and an area that needs more transit. So we're excited to be able to do that. And then front runner double tracking. That's a long-term project that we're making headway on and hope to have that done well before the Olympics come in 2034. That will allow us to double our service on front runner rather than 30-minute peak service. It'll be 15 off peak instead of 60 minutes. It'll be 30. And then we'll also be able to run service on Sunday. Right now, we hold front runner service on Sunday so that we can get out there and do some maintenance. But if we've got double tracking, we can maintain the rails and run service all at the same time.
Gavin Gustafson is UTA's Senior Public Information Officer. In the next hour of Midday, we're going to take a look at how a group of fifth graders is having their day in court. Well, their fake day in court. You'll want to stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
You've probably seen it and felt it, as have your neighbors and friends. Life is expensive. And rising costs over the past few years often making it unaffordable to raise a family. Today, lawmakers said they are tackling affordability head on.
This legislature has cut $101.4 billion in taxes since 2020. And I can tell you that affordability is our number one priority this session. We're very concerned about it.
The time is 2 o'clock on Thursday, January 29th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, Eye on the Hill 2026, we have special coverage on a slew of bills unveiled today, tackling housing, energy, healthcare, and good-paying jobs. Also this hour, a new trend in fraud causing headaches for many Americans.
Just the amount of work that this involved for him, it took him, he tells us, a year to clear this up.
Coming up, we'll go in depth on ghost students and how they are taking out student loans for unsuspecting Americans. But first, our top stories. A Utah man accused of obstructing the investigation of Charlie Kirk's murder has entered into a plea deal that carries a prison sentence of up to 15 years.
71-year-old George Zinn approached police immediately after Charlie Kirk was shot at UVU and claimed responsibility for the murder. He repeatedly told police that he was the killer and requested that they shoot him. He was taken into custody by detectives who determined that he did not, in fact, shoot Kirk. However, during the investigation, they found multiple pieces of child sex abuse materials in his phone. Today, he entered into a plea bargain, pleading guilty to 1 count of obstruction of justice and 2 counts of possession of child sex abuse materials. These charges could see him in prison for up to 15 years. Cameron Elliott, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story from ABC News, President Trump attacking Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell again today after the Fed voted to keep interest rates where they are yesterday.
You can do it with a pencil. It's not cutting. It's not saying we have to get rid of jobs, or it's just like literally so easy to do. But we have a guy that doesn't want to do it because he's, I think he's politically biased. I really do. I believe he's politically biased because most smart people say it's not even a question.
The president held a cabinet meeting where he was touting his economic policies and announced that a new Fed chair will be named by next week. A bipartisan group of lawmakers have criticized Mr. Trump's attacks on Powell, saying the Federal Reserve needs to be nonpartisan. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow at the close up. It switched around. The Dow is now up by 55 points. It closed at 49,071. S&P down by 9 points, and the NASDAQ down by 172 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU. Love where you bank. Michelle?
Good news for drivers on State Street 39th South. They finally have that crash cleared, so traffic is moving through the area freely. Also looking at good speeds for drivers on all the major freeways. Elevate your dining at the Roof, now serving lunch and dinner. Enjoy new ambience, city views, and cozy favorites. Funeral potato bites, scones, and signature steak, pork, or salmon entrees. Visit the Roof, Salt Lake City, KSLTraffic.com. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
We are not expected to see any wet weather until Monday. Monday, we do have a 30% chance of showers and a 10% chance on Tuesday. 36 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up or repair or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Taxes was waiting on the refund you needed yesterday.
All right, your car repair is going to run about $3,000.
Ugh. Now Taxes is getting back on the road with TurboTax and Credit Karma, where you can get your refund up to 5 days faster and get personalized guidance to take every dollar further. Now this is Taxes. Intuit Credit Karma with TurboTax. Deposit a federal refund into Credit Karma Money account and early submission of refund data by IRS required. Terms apply. Banking services provided by MVB Bank, Inc. Member FDIC. Credit Karma is not a bank.
Welcome to guided meditation. Close your eyes. You're at the beach. The seagulls are calling. You take out your iPhone 16e you got from Cricket and use Apple Intelligence to clean up that selfie you just took. It's a good one. You send it to your friends instantly thanks to reliable nationwide 5G. They're totally jealous. Get iPhone 16e for $49.99 when you switch. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Requires new line on the Supreme Unlimited plan. First service charge and tax due at sale. $25 activation fee. Terms and restrictions apply. Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. See store for details.
Friday, join KSL News Radio and NPS from 10 to 1 as the movie show stops by. Then browse and uncover what makes NPS so great. With 4 locations, NPS takes in new inventory every day. Then they check all competitors' retail pricing before marking items down 20 to 70% off. So you're invited to visit the movie show Friday 10 to 1. And that's the first step to discovering NPS. Visit npsstore.com to begin your own NPS adventure. npsstore.com.
Thanks for tuning in to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos.
Eye on the Hill 2026. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
As prices for, well, just about everything have risen over the past few years, many people find life to be unaffordable. Utah families taking the brunt of the costs, finding it difficult to raise kids, secure housing, and more. Today, lawmakers and community leaders announced several bills to address the increased cost of living. Now, we want to get to the heart of the issue and speak with a community leader about the rising costs. But first, let's chat with Representative Jim Dunnigan about what these bills actually are. Representative, thanks so much for being with me.
Good afternoon. It's good to be with you.
So tell us about these bills. How do you hope they're going to make a difference?
Well, there's a variety of bills that we're working on to address affordability in Utah. We hear it, we see it for our friends and neighbors, our family. Affordability is really an issue. So one of the main ones we're working on is housing. We're trying to provide and encourage and work with local governments to provide smaller lots to bring the price of housing down. We need people to get, as I call it, to get in the game, to be in the game, so that somebody needs to have home ownership. And if you continue to rent and you never build up equity, then you're never going to be in the game, and prices just keep going higher and higher. So we've done many, many things over the last few years trying to incent developers to start building. We've provided assistance with infrastructure. We get the water, help them get the water and the sewer in so they can start building. We have tens of thousands of lots that have been approved, and we need infrastructure in to start building. So that's one of the areas. Another area that we're working on is gas. The gas prices, I see that they go up recently. And so one of the things that we observe in Utah is we are a producer of gas, and we sell to other states. We produce more than we use, and yet sometimes we have higher gasoline prices than surrounding states. So, and we end up selling gas to other states at lower than we're paying for it here. So one of the things we're looking at is taxing gas at the production level, and then those that the gas that's shipped out of state and the natural gas will have a tax on it, and that will be used to offset and lower our state gasoline tax. Now, I just want to mention that these are all bills. They're all concepts and ideas, and we'll see which ones get across the finish line.
Okay, well, that gas tax idea is a new one to me. Describe what made you want to do that.
Well, everybody sees it at the pump on a weekly basis, probably. The gas, gas prices vary. We can't control the world oil supply. But for many years, it's been frustrating to see surrounding states that get Utah's gasoline pay lower rates than we do. And so we're trying to think, thinking, what can we do? Well, one of the things we can do is make sure that when that gas goes to another state, that they're paying a tax on it, which they're currently not, and then we can use that to lower the gas tax for Utahns.
Mm-hmm. Talk to me a little bit about, I understand you also want to improve access to health care. How are you hoping to go about that?
So we are trying to get permission from the federal government to implement some flexibility and mitigate some of the harm that's been done by taking away accessibility to Medicaid, which is health insurance for the poor. And what happens is if you take away health insurance for the poor through Medicaid, those people still need medical care. They're going to go to the emergency room. They're going to go to the hospital. They're still going to have bills. They just won't get paid. And so that's cost shifted to the other states. So I met with the financial officer of one of the major hospitals here. I said, how do you cover your bills when somebody comes in and they can't pay? And he said, we just shift it to those who have insurance. So what we're trying to do is get some flexibility from the federal government to help people stay on their health care plan if they're eligible. If people are not eligible and they're not here legally and they shouldn't be on it, then we don't want them on the health plan. But if we make it too difficult for people that qualify to get on and stay on, then we'll have a lot more of uncompensated care and unpaid bills, and the rest of us pay that. And we're also trying to negotiate on some drug prices. I've got some legislation to try to bring the prices down on certain very expensive drugs, and that's a real effort. That's a tough lift, but I'm working on that.
Representative, do you have support from both sides of the aisle on these bills?
I have some support from both sides of the aisle. We'll see what gets across the finish line.
Representative, I appreciate your time. Thanks for being with me.
Thank you.
Representative Jim Dunnigan joining me. In just 60 seconds, we will chat with the community leader about the bills and get his perspective on how they could help drive costs down.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. Did you know that we offer 3 distinct styles of gutter protection? Each one meant to handle a specific leaf problem. You might not even know there are different styles of gutter protection, but there are. And if you pick the wrong one, it could be a huge waste of money. Now, the big gutter guard companies won't tell you this. They try to sell you a one-size-fits-all gutter guard. And it could be completely wrong for the amount and types of trees and leaves you have. Not RGS Exteriors. We understand which kind of leaf problem needs which kind of gutter guard. We'll do an in-depth evaluation to assess the types, locations, and numbers of trees in your yard. Based on that data, we match your home to the right gutter guard. So don't risk wasting money on the wrong gutter protection. For a free evaluation and estimate, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's 801-280-3110 or rgsexteriors.com.
Eye on the Hill 2026, we are continuing our deep dive into some bills unveiled today that address the issue of affordability. For the break, we spoke with a lawmaker about a few of those bills and how they could help Utah families. Now let's chat with the community leader to get another perspective on how the proposals could help bring prices down. Joining me now is Brittany Bringhurst, a local mom, advocate, and a member of the Protect Medicaid Coalition. Brittany, thanks so much for being with us.
Oh, thanks, Maria. It's nice to be here.
Okay, as a mom, you definitely know how expensive it can be to raise a family. So talk to me about the challenges that you have seen.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now we live in Kaysville, and our home is a multi-generational home. I have my mother-in-law living with us, and she's battling Alzheimer's. And then my brother-in-law lives with us a few days a week as he's commuting, to and from work, as he lives in Richfield. And then my oldest daughter has Down syndrome and gets Medicaid coverage through the DSPD limited supports waiver. So we have a lot going on in our home, and some of it's supported by Medicaid, which is great, and we're hoping to see those things continue.
Okay, so let's talk about the Medicaid part then. What are you hoping to see from the bills during the legislature?
In the Social Services Appropriations Committee, the limited supports waiver that my daughter is on is looking at it's one of the items to be eliminated. And so I'm hoping that legislators see the value of this supports waiver for people like my daughter and my family, and they do not eliminate supports like this.
Mm-hmm. The Representative Junigan was just talking about also an insurance bill to help people continue with their insurance if they are legal in the state of Utah. Is that something that would help your family as well, or how do you see it helping other families?
Yeah, insurance coverage is vitally important, and the more people that aren't on insurance, the higher costs are. The need doesn't disappear if insurance goes away or supports go away. They just become more expensive as people go to the emergency department to get health care instead of going to a private care physician.
You mentioned that you are living in a multi-generational home. You are not alone with that sort of situation. How do you hope some of the bills that they're looking at dealing with households or housing, I should say, could help your family?
Well, the more that more affordable homes that are built and maintained in Utah, the next generation can get into. My family was lucky to buy when I could get a house for $150,000 for a starter home, and that just doesn't exist anymore, but it needs to, so that my youngest daughter can get into her starter home and start her family and support maybe me if I need it, growing up and getting older. And so we need to think about the next generation and making that entry point available again.
He brought up a very interesting bill, the one that would help lower gas prices. I'm not sure if you heard about that one, but I would love your perspective. And prices have been a little bit lower lately, but we could sure use some other help with that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I know the United States Stronger Tomorrow and this affordability agenda that we're here on the Capitol Hill with today is talking about energy costs for families. And if wages remain low and costs remain high, we're just going to go in this terrible cycle of families not having enough to provide for them and keeping us down. And we need to make sure we lift people up and seeing if we can help with energy savings or any kind of program that would help families ease that stress is necessary.
Yeah, I know a lot of families are thinking right now who are listening that what about natural gas? We are seeing some, even though it's not as cold as it usually is here in Utah, our natural gas bills have definitely jumped.
Yeah, absolutely. And any kind of energy savings, I know there's a lot of programs that they're talking about that would incentivize helping families weatherize their homes and help their energy bills go down would be a welcome.
It sounds like it's safe to say that you are encouraged by what you've been hearing today.
Yeah, it's been nice to hear the representatives like Tyler Clancy and Burton and Dunnigan talk about the things that they want to see happen, and they're hearing us as their constituents and know that it's not easy right now living in Utah, and it needs to be. We need to support working families and those who are having hard times.
Brittany, I appreciate your help. Thanks for being with me.
Oh, thank you. Bye.
Bye. Brittany Bringhurst, mom, advocate, and member of Protect Medicaid Coalition. A rising trend in the fraud world called ghost students. After the break, we'll get details on how fraudsters are stealing identities to take out student loans. But first, it's traffic on KSL News Radio. It's brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more, UCCU. Love where you bank, Michelle?
All the major highways moving at posted speeds right now, seeing good conditions if you're trying to leave downtown. Just a little bit of slowing on Bangerter Highway around the 201 freeway. Common Spirit hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advanced healthcare. Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with Human Kindness is here. Hello, Human Kindness. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you spend half your day walking or standing while working? If you have foot, knee, or back problems, the Good Feet store wants to help you like we helped Tony.
Pain that I experience the most is foot pain from being on my feet all day. You're having to kind of talk to yourself through the whole shift, like, I got this, I can do this. Before, I felt defeated, and now it's like, all right, let's go. I'm ready. A whole new life, like sunshine coming on.
And how about working more comfortably, like Dennis?
Working at an amusement park, it's always on your feet. I just couldn't take it, but I didn't have a choice. I just couldn't believe that putting these arch supports in made that much of a difference that quickly. I could do my job and I could take care of my family. I know what my tomorrow's going to be. It's going to be positive.
You deserve a better life too. Stop in the Good Feet store today. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
This President's Day, Pure Talk is honoring Jackson and Lincoln by offering unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $25 a month. Meanwhile, Big Wireless is honoring Benjamin Franklin by charging families hundreds of dollars for the same 5G service. What's up with that? Ben Franklin wasn't even a president. When you switch to Pure Talk, you'll be in business with an American wireless company that supports our vets in a big way and keeps all their customer service in this country. That's important. And you'll be on the same towers the big carriers use, so you'll get the same 5G service without the inflated price. So hang on to your Benjamins and switch to Pure Talk for a Jackson and a Lincoln. No contract, no hidden fees. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and you'll get 50% off your first month when you switch. That's pound 250, Mike Rowe, for an American wireless company that is truly unprecedented. Pure Talk.
Are your investments in the right accounts? What's best, traditional or Roth? Are you receiving all available tax deductions? Are you paying as little in tax as you can? These are all questions you can't afford to get wrong. Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth, and in many cases, it's not what you make, but it's what you keep that makes the real difference. Trajan Wealth and Trajan Tax work closely together exclusively. No more guessing about whether you should do a Roth conversion, or if maxing out your 401k is really the best option. Our nationally recognized fiduciary advisors and CPA team work in tandem to make sure your tax strategy works with your investment strategy. We'll even do your tax preparation. One team, one strategy. Isn't it time for a second opinion? Call Trajan today, 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Trajan Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Additional services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures and accreditation at TrajanWealth.com.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. New warnings about so-called ghost students. People stealing identities to get student loans. ABC News senior national correspondent Steve Osunsami joined the Start Here podcast to explain how the process works and how it's giving some people hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt that they don't even know about.
A ghost student is a digital thief, most likely coming from out of the country, countries like Bangladesh, Nigeria, Russia, who are using information that they often get from data leaks. And they use that information to create your identity, become a student, and then get Pell Grants and student loans, student financial aid, leaving some unsuspecting American out there on the hook for a loan they may not even know exists. There is one father and son who we talked with in Washington, D.C., Murat Mayer and his son, who discovered this by accident. Mr. Mayer is a business analyst in suburban D.C. His son's a senior in high school, and he's a little frightened by all this. You're here talking with us. He wasn't as comfortable.
Correct. He was scared. He was very excited about college, and this is happening. It was a huge discouragement.
They were on the financial aid website, the FAFSA website, just applying for financial aid because he's trying to go to school in the fall.
We entered his name and information. It didn't prompt us to create a new account. It's showing that there's an account for him.
And they didn't set that up themselves. They looked further and discovered that both of them had already been enrolled in community colleges across the country.
We noticed that there were a lot of activity, loan applications, grant applications. Then we panicked.
This, of course, is a problem for him and his son because the son is trying to enroll into a college for real and apply for financial aid, and this is slowing all of that up.
Okay, what makes this thing even stranger is that some of the scammers are physically following through. They're actually going to class to keep the scam going.
In some instances, they are actually going to class and continuing the scam, continuing the identity theft. Mayer, he says that his son, in fact, was at that point, this was last fall, a second-year student at a college in Utah. And according to the dad, whoever was pretending to be him was getting good grades.
But it's obvious because he's remaining as a student and he's passing the, the classes.
He was passing the classes. So whoever this crook was a smart crook.
Yeah, they're probably attending the Zoom.
They log in, they do assignments. You know, the thing is, it's like a lot of our institutions, you have to do some coursework to be able to get the disbursement of the aid.
One of the people we talked with was a federal investigator at the U.S. Department of Education. His name's Jason Williams, a man with a badge, who has helped put some of these guys behind bars, most of the American criminals.
So these ghost students, how big of a problem is this?
It's a huge issue. So, you know, when the pandemic, everybody went to online learning. But by doing that, it really did open the door.
He says that in most cases, what the ghost students do is they register the students for the identities, for classes, and then once they get the first check, they disappear.
The main target for a lot of these perpetrators is community colleges.
Community colleges. Easier access.
Easier access. You know, community colleges operate on a rolling admissions process, right? So, like, there are always admitting people year-round.
Sometimes they are pretending to be a person and enrolling that same person in multiple schools at the same time.
And so with the online learning component, we don't actually ever see the student. So, you know, you're not actually walking into a physical financial aid office.
Yeah.
All these things are happening online.
Just to show how bold some of these ghost students are, we have a photo that was given to us by a college in Maryland that shows this ghost student. You know, he was talking to an admissions counselor. The admissions counselor got suspicious, asked him to turn on his camera. He did, and he flashes an ID, and it was a Michigan ID, but that ID was not him. And so they knew that he was a fake and denied him entrance. Just last week, that same student tried entering the same school again, and this time he had a different ID. But it just shows what these schools are up against.
And among those also targeted, a familiar voice on ABC News, transportation correspondent Gio Benitez, which goes to show you that they're not just targeting younger adults or teenagers, but middle-aged adults too. Some community colleges in California say they will use AI to beat AI with vetting systems to make sure that they are dealing with humans. You may have done a mock court when you were in school, but you probably weren't joined by District Attorney Sim Gill like the kids at David Gorley Elementary. D.A. Gill says the program is a way to foster children's interest in the law from an early age and to show them just how important the law is.
Well, you know, this is a program that we borrowed from my friend Jackie Lacey from the LA District Attorney's Office. And it was a program on how do we educate and share what happens in our criminal justice system, what happens, who are prosecutors, who are law enforcement, but it's not more than just educating them about the criminal justice system, but it's about how we sometimes end up there. Like the issues they talk about are like bullying and different things, and it's about giving them the best understanding that they can have. And hopefully, you know, they have more respect and more understanding of our criminal justice system. Many of the kids that we work with, their family members may be in jail. Their family members may have a run-in with law enforcement. So we want to answer all their questions. They're incredibly curious. They want to know everything. And so it's about giving them all that kind of information. And at the same time, maybe one of them may want to be a police officer. One of them may want to be a defense attorney or think about the law or be a prosecutor. Maybe there's a district attorney here, you know? And so I think we've been missing that opportunity because there's a lot of distrust that happens, and this program that was used in LA County was really successful. We worked with almost, now we're on our third year, we've done work with over 200 kids. The schools love it, the kids love it, and as one of our folks talked about, and we have our prosecutors who come in there, they're reading, they're getting involved. It's a really immersive kind of a thing, interactive, and so we want to answer all their questions.
Gill says that fifth grade is a perfect time to teach children about the justice system because it's the perfect age to start learning about the law.
At fifth grade, they are starting to be curious. They're starting to have a sense of their own identity, and they're starting to form their own ideas. And so it's a really critical time, and that's a really great time for us to honor their curiosity and also to share something that they're thinking about. They're starting to think about friendships. They're starting to think about how when they feel bad, if somebody treats them differently, right? So it's really a great age to actually help that curiosity with really good positive messaging and also empowering them in that process, right? And when you do that and when you experience it, it stays with you for a longer period of time. You and I know that if somebody talks to us for 10 minutes and gives us something, we may remember it if we choose to or because it was important, but at this stage, their curiosity, it actually stays with them for a longer period of time. And so it's age appropriate, but it's also at that perfect age where they're curious and we're helping fill that curiosity.
He says he thinks kids are often underestimated. The activity not only builds an early understanding of justice, but self-confidence in their ability to learn and explore new topics. It's 2:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. How might Utah's judiciary change this legislative session? We'll take a deep dive into a movement that's gaining some steam on Capitol Hill. A slew of new films added to the National Film Registry. We'll get a breakdown with Andy Farnsworth and KSL Traffic. Michelle?
All of our major freeways running at posted speeds. A little bit of slowing on Bangerter Highway around the 201 freeway.
Our updated forecast calls for now a 30% chance of showers next Monday. That's the next chance for any wetness. And then Tuesday, a 10% chance as well. It's 2:30.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Congress still facing a partial government shutdown tomorrow with the Senate funding package failing to advance today. Democrats vowing to hold up Homeland Security funding following the deadly immigration operations in Minneapolis. Here's ABC's Selena Wang.
He is expressing optimism that a deal will go through. We know that there are these active negotiations and talks happening between the White House and Senate Democrats. It was notable in the cabinet meeting saying, look, we don't think Democrats want to shut down either, and we're working in this bipartisan fashion.
Border Czar Tom Homan says that the targeted immigration enforcement in Minnesota will continue, but also signaled that a drawdown is coming. At least 80 deaths are blamed on last weekend's massive winter storm that stretched across much of the country. Parts of the South still struggling, including drivers stranded for days on 2 interstates in Mississippi, with rescues still taking place. More snow also in the forecast. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. After flames ripped through a block of Main Street businesses last year, downtown Salt Lake City is finally seeing signs of recovery starting tonight. KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera shares their comeback story.
Flames tore through a century-old stretch of Main Street, destroying 5 local businesses and leaving employees, regulars, and an entire block wondering what came next. The morning after the fire, Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall called it a heartbreak for the city.
The fire that happened last night is a tragic loss for Salt Lake City. These are iconic businesses in our downtown core.
Tonight, White Horse is officially reopening its doors, becoming the first of those Main Street staples to come back. For downtown resident Ryan Chisholm, it's personal.
We used to go to White Horse all the time, and I get their mac and cheese and their oysters. I have a lot of friends who work at those spots, who worked at London Bell, who worked at Whiskey Street, who worked at White Horse. A lot of those people were out of jobs.
He says reservations filled up fast, but he's in at 9.
Do they still have the mac and cheese and the oysters?
Hey, listen, we're going to find out tonight.
White Horse's return also signals hope for neighboring favorites like Whiskey Street and London Bell, which were also lost in the fire and are still rebuilding. For a block that once felt broken and uncertain, tonight feels like a reset. From downtown Salt Lake City, Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
Taking a look at your money at this moment. At the close, the Dow is up by 55 points, ending at 49,072. S&P down by 9 points, and the NASDAQ down by 172. That's about 0.75%. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by UCCU Supercharger Savings at uccu.com. Here's Michelle Rowe.
Again, Maria, very quiet out there for drivers that are trying to get across the Wasatch Front. I-15 running at posted speeds, also seeing good conditions. If you're taking Parley's Canyon up toward the Park City area, I see just still a little bit of slowing. This is filling in on Bangerter Highway right around the 201 freeway. Elevate your dining at the Roof, now serving lunch and dinner. Enjoy new ambience, city views, and favorites. Bacon fig flatbread, steak, pork, or salmon entrees. Reservations or menu, visit theroofslc.com. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Temperatures climbing over the next few days. We are headed for highs on Saturday and Sunday in the 50s. Right now, 37 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
When the new year hits, every business could use a little something to stay ahead. A lift, a jump start, an edge, or perhaps a boost. Like the all-new 5-year business boost from Comcast Business. It's the certainty of a price lock for 5 years on qualifying internet bundles. Plus, you'll have the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment, so your whole team can stay connected at a great rate. And to sweeten the deal, ask about a $500 prepaid card when you add 2 lines of mobile. It's the boost your business deserves. So sign up for the 5-year business boost and get a 5-year price lock on ultra-reliable Wi-Fi. Plus, ask about a $500 prepaid card. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 3/22/26. New customers only. 1-year contract required for guaranteed rate. 5-year pricing applies to monthly service charge excluding taxes and fees. Best Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA Fixed Broadband Experience Report, May 2025.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights, at home or at work. We'll make your happy place your own. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
The Salt Lake Chamber is Utah's voice for business. Okay, that sounds great, but what does it really mean? Well, as Utah's largest and longest-standing business association, they support and champion community prosperity throughout the state. And if you're in business, well, that's a very good thing for you. Be sure to listen to the Chamber's Speaking on Business, weekdays at 7:20, 11:55, and 5:20 p.m. on KSL News Radio.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos.
Eye on the Hill 2026, special coverage on KSL News Radio.
A proposal on Utah's Capitol Hill is gaining traction, and it would affect the makeup of the court systems across the state. Lawmakers are debating several bills that could affect the judiciary, and KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff has been digging into those proposals. He joins me to chat about the bills and their potential impact on the courts.
You know, Maria, there are like 8 bills that directly affect your judiciary. Yesterday, a couple of those bills were heard. One would create a constitutional court. One of the questions is exactly what is a constitutional court? The other would add justices to the Utah Supreme Court, to the appellate court, and then 3 district judges. As I listened to those hearings, many of the people that stood up and spoke out against them were from legal backgrounds, attorneys, a retired judge, a former law professor actually spoke out against the bills, saying that this is not what's needed, creating this constitutional court or adding justices to the Utah Supreme Court. Even the Utah Bar Association has come out against all but one of those 8 bills, and then they partially support the judicial expansion bill, which is the one that would add justices and appellate court judges and then district court judges, but they don't support adding the Supreme Court justices. They say, let's add 2 to the appellate court, let's add 3 to the district court. And all of these attorneys are coming out saying, you know, this is not what we need. These bills are not what we need. And it's interesting that the bar came out against like I say, all but 1.5, I guess, if you wanted to look at it that way.
So talk about what their objections are to adding more justices to the Supreme Court.
The biggest objection that I heard during the hearings was that they just don't think that adding 2 justices is going to do that much, and it's going to cost quite a bit of money. Of course, Supreme Court justices have a little bit higher salary than appellate court justices or district court judges. And they have additional staff and personnel. So each Supreme Court justice would come with an additional 2 law clerks as well as other people. And so most of the people that kind of spoke out against the Supreme Court justice expansion were saying, let's use that money in a different way. One person said, we've asked the school boards and other places to cut 5% off of their budgets, and yet we're going to spend all this money on new judges. And so it's one of those arguments that, is this the best use of people's money?
Let's go back to the Constitutional Court for a moment. I'm assuming that means taking things that are not criminal out of criminal courts, kind of separating the criminal courts from the constitutional courts. But what exactly would that court do?
Maria, that was one of the biggest questions during this hearing yesterday. The law professor actually said this would be the very first type of this court in the entire country. She says no one else has this. It would be a brand new concept. And the idea is that if something came up that was of a constitutional nature, say there was an injunction, say there was an injunction against some law or new rule that came out, instead of going through the district court system and then to the appellate court system and then to the Supreme Court, this would go directly to this constitutional court. One of the biggest objections to that idea is that the legislature would pick the 3-judge panel that would create the constitutional court. So the attorney general, the legislature, or the governor, who are probably going to be one of the parties in almost every lawsuit that comes before the constitutional court or would come before the constitutional court, almost always one of those 3 would be party to the litigation, and then someone else. And so essentially one party of the litigation, the argument is one party of the litigation would be controlling who gets to hear that case.
All right. So where do these bills now stand? I'm assuming they're still in committee.
Yeah, pretty much everything is still in committee. The 2 bills, the constitutional court bill and the judicial expansion bill, both passed out of committee yesterday. Constitutional court passed on a vote of 7-1, judicial expansion on a vote of 7-2. Of course, that means they will now go to, in this case, they will now go to the full House. If the full House passes them, then they will send them over to the Senate. The Senate will hear them. So there's still probably at least 3 votes left on before these bills would become law. And other pieces of the legislation, judicial legislation, are in various places, but most of them are just kind of coming out of committees now.
Like Don mentioned, one of the bills being debated would expand both the Utah Supreme Court and appellate courts around the state. The Sutherland Institute Stan Rasmussen spoke during the hearing for that expansion.
The Utah Constitution gives the legislative branch the responsibility to make necessary changes to the way courts function. This proposal would help the courts functioning without interfering with their constitutional responsibilities. As has been presented, the state's population has increased such that the increase in judges and justices is necessary. And for these reasons, we encourage your support of the bill.
But community member Sue Widdison spoke against the proposal, saying it was a poor decision.
I would guess that each one of us has worked an entry-level job where we can see a problem and have had an idea to fix it, taken it to management, and it's been ignored. Then corporate brings in a policymaker that's never worked our job, and they come up with a policy that often appears to cost a lot of money that doesn't fix the problem. That is how I see the portion of this bill adding 2 more people to the state Supreme Court.
The bill passed out of committee on a vote of 7-2. Midday continues in just 60 seconds.
You know, this is one of those topics that no one really wants to think about, but if you're a parent, a homeowner, married, or helping take care of aging parents, it's something that honestly deserves a little attention. I'm talking about estate planning. And before you tune out thinking it's complicated or expensive, that's actually why I want to mention Trust and Will. Trust and Will makes estate planning feel way less intimidating than it sounds. They offer modern, attorney-designed wills and trusts that you can create online. And the process is surprisingly straightforward. In fact, you can create a will in as little as 30 minutes. That includes things like guardianship for your kids or pets, how your assets are distributed, and even healthcare directives. Don't wait until it's too late. Protect your loved ones with Trust and Will, the most trusted name in online estate planning. Go to trustandwill.com/plan to get 20% off. That's trustandwill.com/plan for 20% off. trustandwill.com/PLAN.
A groundbreaking documentary designed, filmed, and produced entirely by inmates at the Utah State Prison is giving the public a new look at life behind bars. It's called Breaking Chains, and it follows 6 incarcerated men and women as they confront their pasts, reflect on their choices, and work towards rebuilding their lives. Casey Vanderhoff is a former inmate and collaborator on the documentary, and he explained to KSL TV how he became involved in the project and why this film in particular is so important.
When I was invited to work on the project, first of all, I had been trying to participate in as many things as possible to find healing wherever it was for me. And I was at a point in my life where I was at such a desperate place, I didn't care what that looked like. And so when I was offered the opportunity to work with this, at first it was very terrifying because I knew the only way to do it right would be to do it authentically. So one thing you'll see is my entire story and my whole truth. And there's a lot of bumps and warts and a lot of things that at one time I was very ashamed of. And today I can say that there's certainly regretful decisions and sometimes embarrassing, but are definitely part of my story and a big part of my healing. And so I was grateful to be able to share those things authentically because the good things in my life that have followed have been because of that honesty, both with myself and my wife, my family, and my God. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity to change and to heal. And right now, I'm also representing those men and women that are still there, still engaged with that work. And there's so much that depends on it. Their families depend on it. Our community as Utahns, we depend on that because 97% of them are coming back and they're going to be our neighbors. And so we just want to make sure that we have opportunity to give them that support, whether it be through supporting the nonprofits that go out there and conduct those classes, whether it be through legislators that continue to write bills to make those kind of programs available, or even their families themselves. So many of the men that I know, and I know the women as well, still have spouses out there, trying to make ends meet while they're trying to go through the process of change. And every opportunity we have to support those families, I think, is also very important.
Utah Representative Melissa Garf Ballard says she supports the project fully, saying it not only fuels creativity, but reduces the likelihood of reoffending.
One of the changes that we've really seen in the legislature is the impact that we have had as we partnered with corrections. Legislation like creating a reentry division, meaning that when individuals come into incarceration, instead of waiting for the last 30 days to prepare to get out and be our neighbors and friends, it really is from day one, what do we need to do to give them the opportunity to be prepared to be our neighbor and friend and reenter. It's all about corrections rather than just punishment. So we have not just the reentry division, I'm the chair of Higher Education Correction Council, which aligns all of our institutions for higher education in our correctional facilities so that whatever education they get, every level also reduces substantially their chance of getting back into prison. So it reduces recidivism rates. And the last thing that it does is really give them a hope for what career do they want to do differently, because 99% of everyone who gets in has to figure out a different career when they get out. So that's the alignment with education, jobs, and everything that we're doing.
This film is the result of a collaboration between the Utah Department of Corrections and the One Kind Act a Day initiative. Founder of One Kind Act a Day, Khosrow Semnani, says the idea behind holding these classes in prison is to foster the power of kindness.
Prison is a place that there's a lot of tension. There's a lot of people suffering. For whatever reason they're there, I'm not the judge of it. I don't judge them. I don't know why they're there. But I thought it's a fertile ground for some people because human nature is born with kindness. But in prison, it's almost, it's not there. Kindness is not in their vocabulary even. And it's not, they just can't exercise it. They're empowered. I said, these people are born with kindness. We've got to just empower it, promote it. We started with probably about 18, 20 students. We are over 400 now. It feels that, hey, look, we are on the right track. We don't know where we're going, but we're on the right track.
The film recently debuted at the Utah International Film Festival and won the Audience Choice Award. Let's get you up to date now on traffic. Traffic and weather is brought to you by UCCU. Supercharge your savings at uccu.com. And here's Michelle Rowe.
Looking good overall. Still I-15 holding out with good travel speed. Seeing just a minor slowdown as you're making your way northbound, approaching 600 South. Also looking a little bit of delays on Bangerter Highway. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. I'm Michelle Rowe in the KSL Traffic Center.
Amanda, I took my daughter with me to see Frozen at Hale Center Theater, and it was a magical experience. And I say that somewhat jokingly, but it was magical. I watched a woman transform a dress in a second right in front of my own eyes. I got snowed on indoors. Plus, there was all the songs that we both loved.
Yeah, when that ice castle comes out of the floor, I have goosebumps now just thinking about that moment. And the performers, the young girls who sing Elsa and Anna when they're little. I mean, the grown-up ones too, but all of them were just extraordinary.
The Anna that I saw just had this magical pixie-like charm that was so fun to watch. That just everything she said made me laugh.
Have you seen Frozen yet at Hale Center Theater? It runs till when, Andy?
It goes till Valentine's Day.
So you have time.
Yeah, if you didn't catch it during the holiday season, that's okay. It's an extended run. You have a chance to go now.
And if you went before, maybe you want to take your girlfriend or your nieces. Go back and have this magical experience of Frozen.
You can get tickets online, find out which day works best for you at hct.org.
Ready to win? Head to ksl.com/win for your chance to score big. This week, you could win tickets to see Ballet West's Peter Pan, a magical high-flying adventure for the whole family. From daring pirates to fairy dust and soaring dance, it's a classic story brought to life on stage, and you could be there. New contests are added all the time, so there's always another chance to win. Don't miss out. Visit ksl.com/win today and enter to win. That's ksl.com/win.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Capted Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. The collection of historically notable films on the National Film Registry is getting bigger. Today, the Library of Congress announced the addition of 25 films to their preservation list. And joining me now is the host of the movie show, Andy Farnsworth. You know him well from Utah's Morning News as well. So, Andy, let's chat about a few of these movies. First up, and listeners, please don't hate me for this, but it's White Christmas.
Of a white Christmas.
I mean, who could be upset by that,
Who
Maria?
could be upset by that? Maybe it will help bring us more snow if we play White Christmas. What do you think, Andy?
Right. Whatever works at this point, I guess.
Yeah, White Christmas finally making the list.
Yeah, so what these are is they preserve the films for American culture for generations. I mean, that's the idea. These are added to the Library of Congress, some of them. Others are preserved in coordination with copyright holders. But what they are films that have had an outsized impact on American culture in some way or another. So some of the other movies, now there's 25, and I'm sure that maybe only a handful of people know all 25, but ones that really stood out, White Christmas was one of them. And of course, that's a much better choice than Holiday Inn, if you've ever seen the black and white Holiday Inn. I don't have to say anything else. But in other movies there's a big jump between 1956 and then we jump to like the early 1980s. One of them is The Karate Kid. This one's my favorite.
Okay, let me find that.
Wax on, wax off. Breathe in through nose, out the mouth. Wax on, wax off.
I love this
Don't
one
forget
so
to breathe.
much.
Very
No, I don't know. Not a lot of people realize this was made by the same guy who made Rocky, which of course won
Such a great
Best Picture.
movie.
But yeah, they created indelible characters. There were, let's see, 5 sequel movies and a sequel series that played out over Netflix. That's how impactful
Yeah,
the
never
Karate
as
Kid
good as the
was.
first one, though. Right?
Well, nothing can really quite capture the magic of the original. But Karate Kid is one of my favorite franchises of all time, so I was happy to see that one included. There's the 1989 Civil War movie Glory.
Okay, let's hear that.
You're a good shot, Private. Thank you, sir. Squirrel hunt. You ever killed a man? No, sir. You're handy with a gun. Yes, sir. Reload. Faster. Faster. Faster!
Now, Glory
I'm not
has one of
sure
the
I've
greatest
seen that one.
soundtracks of all time. It's Matthew Broderick, Denzel Washington. It became so important that they started showing it in history classes in junior high and high school around the country not long after it was released on video. There's the Tom Hanks movie Philadelphia that won Best Picture. Then here's one that'll make a lot of younger, well, I guess young is relative now because the movie's 30 years old. Clueless.
I don't know why Dion's going out with a high school boy. They're like dogs. You have to clean them and feed them, and they're just like these nervous creatures that jump and slobber all over you. Ew! Get off of me! As if!
The movie that made Alicia Silverstone a household name, and I watched it with my 12-year-old, and she loves it now. So, like I said, it's kind of become timeless. A movie that we didn't know was going to be as prescient as it turned out to be, The Truman Show with Jim Carrey in 1998, where it's a movie about watching somebody his whole life without him realizing he's being watched. Then there is one of the greatest superhero movies of all time, and it's animated, The Incredibles.
This is on.
That's fine.
I mean, I can break through walls. I just can't.
That's fine.
Get this. Showtime. No matter how many times you save the world, it always manages to get back in jeopardy again.
I feel like the maid. I just cleaned up this mess. Can we keep it clean for 10 minutes?
Well, if you have kids, you have to have seen The Incredibles, right?
Right, but it's so well done that it's actually one of the best superhero movies ever, and it came out before the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, which made billions and billions of dollars. Don't have a sound clip, but another one of the best, in my opinion, Christopher Nolan movies, Inception from 2010 has made the list, and the most recent one is from 2014, The Grand Budapest Hotel. Don't know if you ever saw that one. It's a Wes Anderson, and it's really kind of he has a unique movie style of all his own. And there's stuff that go back as far as 1896. Yes, there were moving pictures in 1896. The Tramp and the Dog has made it onto the registry. Let's see. The only other one I think that, if I'm just guessing here, there's a horror movie from 1982 called The Thing. That I remember talking with somebody about. It's quite terrifying. I want to say Kurt Russell's in that one. And then the one with Nicole Kidman called The Hours. That's more in the scary horror genre. I don't want to ruin the twist in that for anybody who's watching it, so I won't say
The Thing made
anymore.
it, but not The Blob.
Well, now the Blob may have been at a different time.
Oh, okay.
But these are
Maybe
just the
on
2025
list. Oh,
entries.
no.
But that's the thing, they had an outsized impact on American culture for one reason or another. And it's actually kind of fun to go and look at the list and think, okay, why did that one make the list? And, think about which ones impacted you as you look over the list. For me, it's the Karate Kid of all of the ones on there. That one's had the most outsized impact. And I've spent the most times rewatching and kind of immersing myself in. But all of these are excellent choices. And, it's also a good thing. Before Sunrise, I believe that's Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy. That's got what some consider some of the most romantic scenes of all time. Uh, it's a good suggestion list for movies if you haven't seen them, to watch them and try to figure out what made them have such an impact.
And that is so important, because if you're like me, you've started to get bored with a lot of things that you're finding on Netflix. Right?
Some of these probably are on Netflix.
Some of them are for sure. But
Here's
it's
the
always
thing, if you
wonderful to go
choose
back to
these-
those old favorites.
It's true. When we get paralyzed by choice, we go back to the ones that we know. But I would say if you find these on Netflix and start choosing them, then perhaps Netflix will start curating you with some other classics.
Which is a great
That's something to point out.
I don't know, but then I'd have to get rid of my VCR. I told my husband we can't get rid of it because I own like 100 VHS Disney tapes. Jeff Kaplan
Maria,
has joined us.
I feel
He's
for
got
your
something
children
to say.
someday.
No, you have a VCR?
I can't get rid of it. I have like 2 stacks of VHS tapes.
Wait, and it works?
It does.
Does it squeak? Because I
No,
found a lot of
it
old
does
VCRs
not squeak.
squeak
It is
now.
awesome. Now, no making fun of me. Andy, thanks for helping me out with this
You're welcome.
list on the National Film Registry. That list is getting longer and longer. Did you have a favorite on that list?
White
Karate
Christmas.
Kid. Oh, yeah, White Christmas.
I
So
wasn't
that
a
was
big Karate Kid.
Oh, my kids and I, we loved watching this, and then we did Taekwondo. Yeah.
Oh, the whole thing. So it cost
Whole
you
thing.
more than a ticket, in
Absolutely
other words.
did. Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News is next. Have a great afternoon.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL